Brazil, are you gonna introduce
your
role-playing introduction?
Before I do that, I have to do... This has to be in the recording too, by the way, okay?
Yeah, we are recording.
I know, so when you put it up on YouTube, this has to be...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Me.
What? Oh.
So I got this giant box of European chocolate, and it's really good that my friend sent me. And I have to show you the best part. I have lion bars, and MightyTeapot knows what those are. And we don't fucking have these in America.
Oh my god.
So...
Okay.
Box of candy.
I had to show off all my candy, and I have to say thank you to Liz, who sent me the candy. That's really good. But anyways, good day everyone. This is Nemesis. Today we will be talking about the ISPO meta.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh boy.
Yeah. A lot of people actually do want to talk about the Reddit fiasco. Yeah. So I guess we could start on that. I suppose.
Should we start on this?
Well, do you want to talk about the beta first? The beta.
Beta.
Why don't we save the other thing for the Q&A at the end?
salad.
Okay.
Yeah. About that.
That makes sense. Let's talk about some things that happened in the game as opposed to within the community. Yeah. So all you guys, you have to wait till the very end now. Yes. There is an event happening.
Yes.
It's got Reapers in it. Reapers, and Tempests, and Daredevils, and Revenants, and Verdant Brinks, and things. And Brazil, you have formulated your opinion on some of these things.
Some of these things.
Yes. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I'll get started. I'm just gonna say that Dragon Hunter may as well be non-existent because, I mean, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't seem like it does anything useful to me. I haven't played it at all, and maybe that's my downfall. But like, I don't even want to play it in the first place because, like, outside of virtues, honor, zeal, and radiance, like, what else is there? Like, what else do you need beside that? Like, I think that's everything you need. That's your whole toolbox. Having like an extra set of like those Xbox controller screwdrivers is not really gonna go anywhere. But I've been playing a lot of Revenant, a lot of Reaper, a lot of Daredevil. I've had fun with Revenant and Reaper, mostly Revenant. Revenant has been a pleasant surprise this beta. And Daredevil was really, really fun until the dodges just became too much for me. The dodges, it was fun for like 4 hours straight, and then I just got tired of dealing with the dodges because they're way too clunky right now. Bounding dodge is almost impossible to aim unless you're fighting something in a corner, which actually happens a lot in Guild Wars 2 right now for some reason. But yeah, Vault is really fun. I've been hitting close. I in some cases I've actually hit 20k vaults with the exotic armor and the exotic trinkets that have celestial jewels in them right now. So it does pretty silly damage, and you can keep vaulting for a while. I've been playing with like roll for initiative, so you dodge roll and you vault and you dodge roll and you vault and you dodge roll and you vault again, and then you roll for initiative and you dodge roll and you vault and you dodge roll and you vault, and you can kind of just loop that for a while, and it's really fun to do that. But the dodge rolls are that's the best way to describe them, just like that. Reaper, I've had a blast playing. I think that everything they changed about it was perfect. You don't think so? I guess I should say from a power standpoint. I think the chill doing damage still needs to be looked at. I think that Doomfire is still...
Doomfire.
You have to trade into burning, and if you're just maintaining the burning on a condition damage aspect, it's kind of weird because if you don't maintain the burning to put on the bleeds and the poison and the chill and stuff, then you lose the burning damage. But if you only maintain burning, you lose bleeds and chill and poison, and you can do a lot of poison with Reaper.
Yeah.
Like a lot of poison. It's pretty good. You can cap out on poison. I think poison caps at 30 stacks. But you can cap out on poison, no problem at all. Power Reaper, I think all of the changes they made to Greatsword are good. I think the damage is good. But the one thing is that Soul Eater still feels like I don't know why you would take Soul Eater. It's just kind of maybe if the blind field becomes really important, just getting Gravediggers and blinding stuff, but then you're really only spamming Gravedigger when things are about to die, so maybe the blinds aren't useless or are useless, and then you have Well of Darkness in Plague form if you want to use that for the blind field too. So and then just the regular blind on Greatsword is good. I don't think Soul Eater fits in anywhere, really. A lot of people have been complaining about Soul Reaping seeming mandatory, and one suggestion I heard was just to put Vital Persistence as baseline. I don't think that's a bad idea, but at the same time, that makes Death Shroud really strong in every single build. So I don't know about that one. And Revenant is just like it really surprised me. Last weekend it underwhelmed me significantly, and this weekend Revenant is probably the most fun I've had outside of like falling off of cliffs because Reaper's charge is bugged. But Revenant's been a lot of fun. I'll stop talking now and I'll let you guys get a word in.
Who wants to? Do you want to go next, Nemesis?
You said you agree with all the changes they did for the Reaper. I wouldn't say that they are bad changes. I just because again we need to figure out how it's going to interact with the PV that we have. And I didn't have time to play the Reaper at all in this beta. I just played I wanted to play tonight, but you guys surprised me with an invitation again. And I played it for an hour. And I can see that it's not as strong considering the opposition, considering the monsters, how much they charge, how much they move around, how much they stun, how much they CC, the damage they do. But in the current PV system, which I don't think they're going to change all the dungeons, everything, I literally don't know why you it has too much damage for the amount of defense it has. I mean, I can almost do as much as Glass Cannon and be twice as tanky. Now that is a bad thing, but again, it removes the balance of the game. It creates a single meta, a single build and stuff like that. And a lot of people think I'm against Berserker meta, and I want condition meta, I want tanking, and I want healing. And before this game, I never played tank and almost never play healer because I don't like playing them. But now that I can't, I'm like, no, I want to be able to do that if I ever want to. I want balance. So they made the Reaper so strong. It's not that it has more damage than the Glass Cannon. I don't think it has. And I will calculate this if you give me the footage, because I don't have, and I'll get to that in a moment. But it has almost the same damage as Glass Cannon. By my estimates, about 20% off. But it's twice as tanky. What the hell of a content are we going to get that will compensate for that? It's so... If we don't get really, really hard content, that's all you're going to play. Reaper. That's all. No condition, no nothing. No Glass Cannon, especially no Glass Cannon. You have to be mental to go Glass Cannon, considering how tanky and damagey the Reaper is. I put a well of... hold on, tired. I did the combo with Rise into You Are All Weakness, put a Well of Suffering down, and I did the Soul Spiral, and I killed everything. And it didn't even touch me. And those are the monsters that do high damage, the snipers, and I one-shotted them with exotics. That's too much. in my opinion. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
So I spent the weekend playing. I didn't really play Reaper, and I missed it. I missed it a lot, actually.
Shame.
I know.
Shame.
So I spent my time playing Herald, Daredevil, and Berserker. I have to say Berserker out of the three of those was the most underwhelming. When you go into Berserk mode, it doesn't feel like anything is really happening. You are cleansing conditions. You are attacking faster, which is kind of cool with particular weapons. It does change those F1 skills. But I don't like when I use Rampage, I feel like I'm rampaging. I feel like I'm smashing things, even on an Asura. When I go Berserk, I feel like, okay, my guy's on fire, and I swing a little bit faster, and it feels underwhelming. It just doesn't feel like, and I realize mechanic-wise, it means nothing. But when you compare it to the other elite specializations, Dragon Hunter aside, which didn't actually change for this beta, the changes didn't come in, so there was no point playing it. It felt underwhelming compared to the other two. Now, if you take Herald, for example, which you could keep 3 of the passives up all the time and just run around and do whatever you wanted, energy management with Herald was a million times easier. It made the class feel a lot more fun. I think there's still an issue by ArenaNet trying to double dip into weapons by charging you energy and putting them on cooldown so that, like, I don't really understand why you're punishing that class twice, but you don't punish other classes twice on their mechanics. Thieves, for example, use initiative, but that doesn't cool down, right? You could just spam Heartseeker a billion times until you're out of initiative. So why does Revenant get punished that way? At least I look at that as a punishment. Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but that's kind of how I see it. I still think that's sort of an issue. The energy cost on the Elite Dragon, maybe 1 point too high. Maybe it should be a point lower or something like that. I never want to run that as a passive and then use its ability, which has a gigantic tell and probably not overly useful in structured PvP, sadly, because of that. It's also a bit slow. The speed on it I don't really have too large of an issue with, but yeah, I'm going to run those 3 other passives that have basically that keep me even keel rather than run anything else that it has to go with. But Herald was a lot of fun. I'm a little scared that Herald is basically the cornerstone for the entire elite specialization, in my opinion. Or not the entire profession, not the elite specialization. I feel like you're going to want to take Revenant most of the time, if not all of the time. And then Daredevil was a lot of fun, but the aftercast and the precast on the dodges kind of kill it. It's less noticeable in something like an Asura, but the larger the race you choose, the larger that delay seems to be. It doesn't actually change the delay, but it's way more noticeable. And I found myself a lot of times trying to dodge, and it's like, why is it taking so long? Why did I get interrupted in the middle of my dodge? Why am I not evading these attacks and stuff? And even for me, who is a mediocre to lower end structured PvP player, if I can feel those changes, then at the higher tiers, those must be miserable feeling.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming I'm the best, but I was, and I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I did some testing against some people in my guild who are like really pretty good at PvP, and I went to see with like the perma evade condition damage build, and like they would bring an engineer and I'd fight it, and I would just dodge the whole time, but I would still get loaded up with conditions and take damage because between the dodges, you're just like sitting there. There's just too much delay. They don't chain together. They're not fluid, and that's like Death Blossom on Dagger with like the Lotus training, and like I think the reason the dodge rolls are so clunky is because they're actually like skills that's getting applied to the dodge roll. I may be wrong with that, but like getting killed when you're supposed to dodge, like I was fighting Lupicus in a Raw in pug groups and in guild groups running through, and I'd go to dodge his kick and I'd get hit in the middle of the air and just go down. I'd get down and just fall. Or like the first boss in a Raw Path 2, like I was lining up, I was jumping into the air to dodge roll, and I got shot by her electricity ball in the middle of the air, and I was downed, and it's just like, okay, this doesn't work. And Card plays Thief a lot. He's a good friend of mine, and he just didn't take a Grandmaster trait for Daredevil, and he said it was a blast. So he
turned
just
it off.
yeah, he just turned off the Grandmaster
Wow.
trait, and so he played with it. And he said it was really, really fun, which that's a very big problem, I think.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, like I love Daredevil. Don't get me wrong. I had an absolute blast playing it. It has me highly considering picking up Thief and really learning the class more in depth, because I really don't play Thief very much at all in any format whatsoever. And I found myself, I was playing a lot of Stronghold with Daredevil, trying, tweaking different builds and such, and just having a really fun time. Staff is amazing. There is some complaints out there about how reused a lot of the animations are. You hold the staff like a hammer and not in any sort of special way. Two of the attacks on the auto attack are reused. The number 4, the shovel, is reused. It makes sense. You're kicking up dust. I get it. Pocket sand. But it's still a reused animation. And I think 2 of the elite chains, which is a lot of fun. If you can get that elite off on a lord in Stronghold or on a player, there is nothing more satisfying than punching them, uppercutting them, downing them, and planting them in all one motion. It is glorious. Just a ton of fun to play. And getting those moments, it's like, I don't know, it's so satisfying. But the dodging mechanic is clunky. It needs, it needs some work. It needs to be fine-tuned. I have faith. I have faith that ArenaNet will fine-tune that. If they don't, then you're going to be like Card and you're just going to turn your Grandmaster off, which is a shame because it's such an interesting, fun mechanic. But, oh well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I believe the developers, the people that are making the build system, I think they're actually a lot better than we all anticipated. And I was already bragging the build system for 3 years now, and based on everything I've learned in the last 3 weeks when I made the video, because I did learn some stuff, I think they're even better than I originally thought. I think they're really, really good. And I think someone fucked up with the PvE system in the beginning. So they had to intentionally gimp the build system to match the PvE system, and the lack of content and a lot of the marketing side of the game got in the way of the build system, and the really creative minds behind the build system were not allowed to fully express themselves. So if the PvE system can catch up now, I think we will have a lot more balance because they're not going to be crippled by the PvE system. I have a question for you guys. I wanted to check out on some old COF footage. In the beginning, in COF Path 2, I believe, was there a little piece of a spike that you could corner stack behind at the boss that spawns the Devourer?
Yeah, I think it's still there.
Yeah.
No, was it in the beginning? Was it there in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they take it out?
No. No one used it in the beginning.
No. People just
And
killed...
neither for the part with the Devourers, when the Devourers spawn. No one used that either. So I was like, was this here? And if it was, why didn't anyone use it,
Well,
I thought, oh man, I need to look up some old footage, because if it's not there, then it's more than obvious. They put like little bits and then they fuck up with the fire crates. You know what I'm getting at, yeah.
I think it's one of these things for a long time where players, it's clear, right? Like Elementalist is a big sign of this, where players didn't quite understand the exact power of each class and how broken some of these things are, ISPO 4. And so stacking came later. Stacking came much later. If you ran the dungeon early on, now this is, of course, players didn't know what the dungeon was about. They didn't understand the bosses, the mechanics, anything like that. A lot of that just comes with experience, and they learned very quickly that stacking up, giving yourself might, using the bursting and all that kind of stuff, that was extremely effective, and then that's when it was born. The early COFs that you'll look at that wasn't really as big a deal, I don't think, as it is now. Players just weren't really doing that.
I can tell you exactly
The early
when that
COF
happened.
The early COF was harder. I was one of the originals that were actually able to do the room with the summons. Most
Yeah.
people were just running in and out, and I was the original motherfucker who killed every single last one of those mobs. And then a lot of people were complaining, and then they nerfed that room twice.
Yeah. When that whole thing changed is people, for the first year the game was out, people didn't really understand dungeons, and then they kind of started to, and they started to understand line of sight, like LOSing, and they understood that you could go around a corner and the mobs would just come through, and they would just come to you and just stand there. And then somewhere along the line, somebody figured out, hey, fiery greatsword rush, if you do it in a corner, it does a lot of damage. And I remember hearing about that, that stupid warrior does the most damage. That was exactly my statement, pretty much. And then I saw a video of 4 elementalists and a guardian in COE, and they just pushed subject alpha into a corner, and they just used FGS number 4, and it just died, in 3 seconds. And I was like, what the fuck? And so when that happened, when people started to figure out about FGS, everybody immediately started looking for every single corner in the whole fucking game to put an enemy into and just go and just rush it into the corner. So that probably happened a year and a half into the game. In those things that you were talking about, those spikes, people didn't think about those until they thought, oh, we can use FGS and just explode everything.
Right.
And so that's when that started to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason they did it with the Elementalist, because Elementalist is the class that can give those exploited weapons to other players.
Yeah.
So no one gets to complain if they get to use it. Because if they do it for a thief or a necromancer or something like a mesmer, that would be so funny. It would be only mesmers, just mesmers and clones, and we'll have parties of 5 mesmers. But if you do some exploiting shit on classes that can share, doesn't matter. And the only classes that get left out are Ranger and Necromancer. Good, no problem. People are still interested in a game that doesn't have dungeons or an expansion or any meaningful content in 3 years. No one seems to link the... I said it. That's the only thing I'm going to spoil about part 2, actually. I'm not even going to say it in part 2. That's the thing. If you look at I cross-referenced a bit the views from the main channel of Guild Wars 2 with the patch notes. Every time the views were going down and the ratings were going down for Guild Wars 2, 1 or 2 months, 3 or 4 weeks later, 1 month tops, there was a shift in the meta. They went from Fiery Greatsword to Lightning Hammer, and when that got boring, they went to Icebow. I've seen the real math, and I've went so much deeper than ever before, and I understand so much about the game, about how a dynamic PvP game works, a dynamic PvE system works, and it's so much more complex than we originally thought, than even I originally thought. Of course, not even 10% of that is used right now, but it has the potential. And the classes were balanced around that. And it's amazing. And people who make such amazing things, of course, they are crippled by how the game is at the moment and marketing. People who make such amazing things, they don't just go, oops, I fucked up. I gave this spell 80k DPS. What you gonna do? No. People who have that skill don't go like that. It's not like one guy just makes a bunch of buffs and then he posts them. No, there's a meeting. There's a meeting like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Buffs or nerfs don't just get applied without a lot of discussion back and forth. And the fact that they buffed Icebow instead of nerfing, there is absolutely no justification to buff something, to buff a skill that does as much DPS as Brazil, the entire fight. There's no. The ice bow basically is another Brazil. Every time you bring an ice bow in a fight, imagine you have another Brazil. It's not 5 players, it's 6 players. 2 ice bow, 2 more Brazils. It's mental. That's literally how it is. The math does not lie. The golem does not die. The numbers on the screen do not lie, unless we all live in the Matrix. But yeah. So.
That was the ice bow buff was a very strange thing, especially when they said they were going to kind of get rid of it. But I don't think. I don't think
they would nerf it.
The community raged, and you don't want people raging if you don't have anything else to give them to stop raging. You don't want people raging. Because if you go like, we're going to nerf this, but doesn't matter, we add 2 more dungeons. Like, fair enough. But if you go like, we are going to nerf this, fuck you. And people are like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? And then the ratings go down.
Yeah, I mean, they buffed 2 and 3. They didn't buff 4, which is kind of the culprit of a lot of this. But they were supposed to nerf 4, and they didn't do anything to it. They just left it as it is. They buffed 3 and 2, I guess hoping you would use those more, but people still don't use those, really. You still just use 5 and 4 and drop it. So, yeah, that nerf. They didn't really nerf it at all.
Yeah. Maybe there's something...
They actually did. You're wrong. They actually did nerf it. Because whenever you use 5 and 4 and drop it, you keep the bowstring in your hand now.
The rebarb.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Ellie runs around with daggers looking like he's holding rebarb and fighting people. Yeah.
It's just you won't use it because you're so repulsed by the cosmetic appearance.
You know, it's funny.
After all, it is Fashion Wars too. It's a big faux pas to run around with loads of bowstrings.
It's funny you said that. I was running around with a random person just like last week, and that bug or whatever has been in the game for a while now. But they're like, "Why am I holding a piece of rebarb?" And I'm like, "Do you use ice bow?" Yeah, of course. Well, so there you go. That's the reason you're holding it.
You can tell who the exploiters are.
And that's the thing. That's another one of the points. That's all I'm going to say. I swear to God. I'm going to spoil it eventually. If you don't use line casting, and I said this in the video, but I said so many things in the video that people missed that part. I said, if you don't use line casting on the bosses that don't have a big hitbox, you do pew-pew damage. I said that. And that pew-pew damage is what Brazil showed with his initial hit on the golem. Okay, it's buffed. Let's say it's doubled. Buffed. It's not 18K. 80. It's not 80K DPS. It's about 10K DPS. So unless you do line casting, you still do pew-pew. And now you're shit. Because you do pew-pew and you're glass. So you know what this means, right? Yeah. So that's why it works so well for the first fractal. Everyone does Bloom Hunger, like, oh, you're so pro. And then they reach Volcanic Fractal. And then they, what the fuck, you're all knobs, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually saw, I'm going to use it for part 2. I saw on LFG, people were trying, they said, looking for help for Shaman Fractal. Looking for 2 goals for Shaman Fractal help. And I joined, and he said, yeah, but you have to leave at the end. I'm like, what? Why? And he said, we want to sell it after. They want to sell what they can't even finish. Imagine how fucked up people are.
That is pretty weird. But I mean, I guess they could just fix line casting. I mean, that's obviously not... I don't know. It doesn't seem that will be intended. And the same with Fiery Greatsword. I kind of disagree that they said, yes, we'll just give it to the Elementalists so they can share it around. I don't think they intended to have the Fiery Greatsword be so ridiculously stupid. I doubt they intended Icebow to be so insanely dominant. I don't think that's what they were going for. They probably didn't expect it to be as strong as it was.
People just found out how to break
exactly.
it a little bit, I think.
I don't think they intended the Fiery Greatsword, but once they saw people were getting hooked on it, They were like, we need to fix this. And the guy at marketing like, no, you don't. See, people are having fun. You're going to leave this. Like, okay, we're going to fix it later. No, you don't. You're going to put it on lightning hammer.
I mean, I don't know that I believe that. I guess it's a different level of thinking, I suppose. But I mean, it definitely was a problem for a long time, to the point where you were then taking it on classes that were able to use skills to actually keep them in place when there wasn't a wall available, like Guardians.
Yeah.
There's some other classes that could do it. I don't even
Thief,
remember all of
anything
them.
with a
Thief,
blink.
anything with a blink. And you could basically bug it out and blink so that you were running in place, even without a wall. You didn't need corners or walls anymore. That became irrelevant. You just needed classes that could blink and actually do that. And after that started happening is when we started seeing it get removed and whatever. It's just a shame that in general, there are bugs in the game and or exploits in the game that go on for a very long time without getting fixed or addressed or whatever the case is. And that's probably the deepest frustration for me, is that you see people using this, you use it yourself, or you figure it out yourself, or whatever the case is, and then you see it go on for months without fixes, without being addressed, or without being, really noticed. You know they're noticing it. You know that they know it's happening, and either they don't have the manpower or the resources or whatever the case is, it just doesn't get properly looked at. I'm hoping, line casting is not new. It's, as Nemesis's video pointed out, and I think that's somewhat part of the issue, it's a problem. And, you could argue against it and say, well, I don't use it, or I'm not going to use it because that'll ruin the purity of my first kill or my run or whatever the case is. But other people will use it, and they will continue to use it in order to get crazy, ridiculous, unintended numbers on raid bosses or difficult world bosses or whatever the case is. And maybe I'm a bit naive in this, but even when we're doing a speed run, and we never use line casting, obviously we all know what it is, how to do it, and how to accomplish it. We never use line casting, but the damage in ISPO 4 is so strong, you stack up on LEs, and you stack up on other classes that you need for that particular boss, and it excludes a lot of classes because of that. If we're trying to get a speed kill, for example, on a worm or something, we'll bring Guardians, Mesmers, Warriors, Ellies. Nobody else. Nobody else is allowed to come because you're basically useless in that speed kill. And that's sad to me, and I don't like to see that in the game. And you can argue against it. Maybe you don't, maybe you don't agree with me, and that's okay. And someone's saying, Min is saying that people don't use line casting in speedruns. I believe you. I absolutely believe what you're saying. You want to keep the purity of that speed run. Otherwise, your record means nothing. And I understand that. But for the people who aren't trying to get that record, who aren't trying to do that, this is something that exists and they do use. And it's an issue.
The issue is that, as I said, they when the Berserker meta was made in the beginning, it started with the Fiery Greatsword. Everyone used Berserker and Fiery Greatsword. And people, me and Brazil and people who make guides, I don't know if you guys made guides, but if you listen to the feedback, people get about 5% of everything you say. Like 5 to 10%. And then, like, okay, I use that and I do this, what you did on screen. Yeah, okay. And all that remains in their head for a long period of time is that if you use that, you do that. But they don't make the connection why and how the process is working. So as soon as someone sees once using a Berserker with the ice bow one-shots a boss, doesn't matter if the build does it, if the ice bow does it, if the line casting does it, ice bow and Berserker does that. I pro. And everyone starts using that. And that's the problem. Not all bosses have the same hitbox. And I previously said what happens when you don't. You just do really bad damage. But they still think they are doing the damage that was done when you were one-shotting the boss. In their mind, okay, I'm doing enough damage to one-shot the boss, but this boss in Fractals just has more HP. No, it doesn't. You're not doing the same damage that was done when one-shotting the boss. You think you do, but you don't, because you're not line casting, and this is not a boss with big hitboxes. And it's a really big problem. I saw, and I'm so going to spoil part 2. I saw a few comments, and I have them saved, from people saying, warrior banners increase party DPS by 25%. Nothing? No reaction?
Well,
Warrior banners.
I have no idea what the number
banners.
is.
Yeah.
Just the banners. Just the
Uh,
banners. If you
the
put the banners down, yeah, just not the might, just the banners.
I don't.
Warrior banners
25% sounds
increase
really high.
by 25%. That's the mentality. Why? Because in their puny minds, they saw, okay, I do this much damage when I'm alone. When I'm in a party, stuff dies instantly. It must be the banners. Just like when I showed in my video, we failed, but the footage couldn't fit. I couldn't literally fit the footage. When I was in the Asura Fractal and I had all those golems, we failed the first time. We wiped. The second time, Icebow was off of cooldown, and it rained on the mobs, and all the mobs died. And then Battery said, why was this 10,000 times easier? 1 million times easier? And they said, because we stacked might, and we stacked the bosses together. They make no connection to the Icebow. They thought because we stacked might. We failed miserably the first time. We didn't even kill. They wiped, and I killed one of those mobs. Second time we used Ice Boss, all bosses went down. Like, oh, we stacked might. You fucking idiots. Buffs are overrated. Bitch. No, for real. That's the mentality in the community. And I'm not talking about pro players like the 1% that don't use line casting and really know how it is. And why are you getting offended? I'm not talking to you. You're not part of this discussion. I'm talking with the majority of the community. And the majority is causing problems. I never once said, fuck you to Miku guy, Purple Miku or whatever. In fact, I called him really skilled. Delusional, but skilled. My problem is with fuckers that do like hit the boss twice, then they go like no, they hit the boss twice, then they go like and then they go, this Necromancer does no damage. Kick Necro. I was going to say bitch again.
Well, I mean, this is just a few inherent issues with the community. There is the thing that Necros don't do any damage. Just get rid of him.
Necromancer's useless.
Yeah.
Ranger is useless.
Exactly. Yeah. But
just Brazil, please get me the footage that I requested, because
Yes.
I'm also getting footage from Cena, even though it's going to be really bad quality, because I had to convince him, like, dude, I don't care if you have like 1 pixel by 1 pixel. You need to give me that footage. And I convinced him to download the program to send me footage. Oh, Brazil knows what I want to do for part 2.
What he's talking about is he showed.
No, don't.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Don't say it.
He showed me and
Something. I showed him something,
and it was ridiculous.
and it was ridiculous.
It was like I had the same reaction to that when I beat people in Yu-Gi-Oh with Exodia. Like whenever I have Exodia, let me find Exodia. That's not the right one. This might be the right one here. It may not even be in order. Whenever I put this motherfucker out and I win, I had the same reaction. It was incredible. It was pretty good. I think it's gonna maybe change some people's minds.
All I need now is an octopus. I'm not even joking. I asked on a group I'm part on Facebook groups, and I asked 2,000 people in my city, guys, where can I buy an octopus?
Might be able to get one.
Part 2 of the video is going to be wild. It's going to be brutal. You thought part one was just I was just warming up, getting used to the character. Oh, I really need to buy an octopus.
Okay. I mean, I think the way this problem should be solved is just make Icebow not as good, and what? No, why not?
Just complain about it on Reddit. That's
Oh,
how you
okay.
solve
Yeah,
problems.
okay. I'm sorry. That's the modus operandi.
Threads.
Yeah. We're not there yet. Come on.
I know.
But if I mean,
I also plan to make part 3.
Oh no.
Which is going to be just all the conclusions from part 1 and 2 said in a very peaceful Christian voice, so it doesn't get removed from Reddit. And if people want to see how it actually happens, how I actually get to those conclusions, they can just watch part 1 and part 2.
although
it will be literally me going, okay, conclusion number 1 is, according to these calculations, I will be...
yeah,
they remove that one.
they're gonna remove it because they don't like you.
So, do we want to talk about? Do we just want to talk? I mean, we're already knee deep. Do we just want to talk about that at this point? I mean,
We should
think
talk
that
about the beta too.
Yeah.
yeah,
We kind of diverted very quickly.
No disrespect to Nemesis, but I think the grounds they used to remove it was because there was implied, or at least they thought it was implied, slight against a group of people. Not any one person. I watched the video. There was no one person that was called out or anything like that. I think some people imply that they're being called out maybe more than they are. And I think that's why it was removed. People also argued the mathematics. I don't even care about the math. It's clear that it's an issue. So, yeah. I mean, it was removed. The thing about it being removed, there are probably a lot of threads on there that could be removed for the same thing, and they aren't. Often.
Exactly. This is the contention.
And
this is the contention. That look at
gonna
Brazil.
remove
Look at him go.
Yeah, if you're gonna remove that one, then remove more.
Yeah.
Police it
One
better
of
if you
my
want to police it.
subs, one of my subs spoke to a Reddit moderator,
Ooh.
and the Reddit moderator said, "I have the conversation between them." I have the conversation between them. The Reddit moderator said the thread was getting out of control and there was too much drama, and it's way over what is normally accepted on Reddit. So it was not because of the actual video, as far as I understood, but it was because of the drama it was generating within the comments.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'll try to
But
believe
again,
that.
if that's true, what's the threshold? Because there's a lot of threads that go up. Tons of drama.
Gail Gray got like negative 2,000 karma.
Why is that okay? Why is it okay for Gail Gray to get negative 2 billion karma? All she was doing was relaying information, and people hated on her just because they hated what they were hearing, and they didn't want to listen to any reason whatsoever. So negative 2 million karma for Gail Gray, and that's okay. She's allowed to take it because she's employed by ArenaNet. But why is that okay? I just don't understand. Why is it, one is okay, one is not okay? Why?
Because she's working for ArenaNet, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I really do hate, it's just not in my nature to go around talking badly about people or talking badly about different aspects. I'm not trying to come down on Reddit or the people who post there, even though there is a fair bit of frustration from a lot of people who come and go from Reddit. They see it as sort of almost as bad as the Guild Wars 2 official forums, if not worse in some cases. But consistency, right? Consistency is key. So I don't know. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, is it just these people are just no fun? I mean, I really enjoy smack talk. It's one of the best thing about anything.
Of course you do.
I mean,
that's like my favorite thing. I like talking shit about people.
I think
I love it when I see clerics, guardians, and fractals and bad players using it. Like, it's my favorite thing to see and talk about. And Card loves it too. Card and I love to talk shit. but
We
I
could
don't
play that
know.
video on stream.
It's all about prejudice, equality. Everybody
I'm
gets
too much-
shit equally.
I guess
That's
I'm
what
too
you
much
have
of
to
an
do.
idealist where I think that things should be doled out
I
as
mean,
fairly as possible if you're going to be a mod.
I mean, I don't believe for a second that Nemesis was being malicious. You weren't intending to be malicious in your video, right? No way.
In part 1, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh wow! In part 1, okay. It's just online banter. I just don't see the problem. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. It's just a bit of fun. It's
I understand the media. Sadly, I'm not in an English-speaking country, so I can just go to the beach, go to the most beautiful blondes, and say, "How much would it cost for you to suck my dick?" And then post that on YouTube and make $50,000 off of it. And that's real numbers. It really happened. It's on YouTube.
Oh, those
understand the
videos are
media.
all over the place.
It's a prank.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
prank.
how.
It's
There's
a
a
prank.
reason. There's a reason that that guy in America, the rich guy with the weird hair, blonde, who's number 1 in polls.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I don't know the
What's his name?
I
He's
don't
running
know.
for president.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Yeah, there's a reason Donald Trump is number 1 in polls right now. Don't
that's
underestimate how fast drama and popularity will get you. Donald Trump, Mike Tyson, McGregor, Conor McGregor.
Ewan
in
McGregor.
MMA.
Mm.
Yeah. They all apply the same tactics. And it's been used for a really long time. If you want to get your message spread, you attach some drama. And the best kind of drama is not fake drama, it's real drama. Because I could be making shit up, but I'm getting to real issues. Because a lot of people were getting kicked, a lot of people were being mistreated, a lot of people had to deal with elitists. And as soon as you put those issues up front, it's going to spread by the people who are being discriminated. If I said, like, elitists are calling people ducks, that's bullshit drama. No one believes that. But if I'm going, elitists are kicking people on no premise, which actually happens, that gets spread. If I attach real numbers to it, that gets spread even more, because now I have an argument. If I just say elitists kick people for no reason, people are going, look at this fuckhead. And if I just post numbers, people are going, what are these numbers? This is boring. And they close the video.
Well, I think...
And I worked for nothing. I worked for nothing. 3 weeks, I worked for nothing.
Yeah, I think part of the thing, too, is these people who are... A lot of these, not all of them. I don't mean to generalize, so you can just send your hate mail to Brazil and not me. But I think that a lot of these people who are kicking Necros or any class from a group, it happens to Rangers quite often as well. These are elitist wannabes. They're not even playing the class properly.
Wannabe elitist scrubs.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing the Berserker meta. They're wearing Berserker armor. They're playing the class, but then they all die and need to be carried by a single person half the time, and then they kick you. Nemesis. And I see that happen way too often. And you know what? I'm not a top player or pro player. I'm average at best. I understand. I accept that. But when I can carry you, there's an issue. If I can come in on my Ranger and carry half the party, there's a big problem with the party. I need to be the worst player there, because if I'm not, it's going to be a really long run. And that happens way too often in LFG.
There was a long time ago. That reminded me of a story. There was a long time ago. This is probably 2 years ago. I joined a dungeon group for a Raw Path 3 with some people, and I was trying to tell them what to do because they were they didn't really know how the encounters work, so I was trying to explain, and they didn't want to listen to me, and they were calling me rude for trying to explain the stuff. And so I kind of just stopped explaining and quit, and we got to Lupicus, and I tried explaining Lupicus a little bit, and they didn't want to hear it, so I stopped. So we started doing Lupicus, and they all died, and I soloed Lupicus, and right after Lupicus died, I saw a loading screen, and I was back in Kershore.
Oh god.
Like, that's the kind of bullshit that, like, that happens in the game. That happened to me. Not that I'm like God mode, whatever, but like it happens. This happens to people. So it's a problem. It's a little bit of a problem.
Minuan says, my only problem is that Nemesis attacked the top players in his video, and I think people like Goku SC can play the meta aren't scrubs. They are really, really good.
I don't think he insulted.
Then why did I say at one point in the beginning I warned people all my behavior is especially for the scrubs, and at one point in my video I said these are the scrubs I'm talking about, and I pointed to the guy who can't even kill the AC boss with ice bow, then points at me, talks a lot of shit, and then kicks me after the party. People like that are the scrubs. I never once posted footage of Miku saying you're a scrub. Every time I speak to him, I call him delusional and a good player.
I think they take offense to delusional.
Yeah.
They might. But
they are. They are.
You have to understand what's actually being said in the videos and not what you think you want to hear. If you want to think that you're hearing that you're being called bad, I mean, Goku's not being called bad in the video. I'm not being called bad in the video, but there were people on Reddit saying, "Oh, good job, Nemesis, for shitting all over Brazil in your video." And I was like, what the fuck did you even watch it? He thanks me at the end of it for giving him footage. Like, what? So there's an aspect of that going on that people see, oh, it's Nemesis being an asshole again, talking about the meta, and he's wrong. I'm going to dislike the video, and I'm just going to hear whatever I want. No, don't do that. That's not the correct way to approach it. What's happening is that people are getting kicked in Guild Wars 2 for no reason, really, and Icebo is broken. That's what you can take away from the video. But
what were you meaning by delusional, though? What can you expand on that a little bit?
Part 2.
No.
Part 2.
Okay. Wait, is it to do with the DPS calculations? Because I think the DPS calculations is just that
you're on the right track.
It's just a difference in methodology. I don't think this is.
Yeah.
I don't see the contention here. That's what I'm trying to say. I really don't understand the contention, because I think your kind of view on it is actually very, very interesting. I think it's valid, definitely valid. The way you take into account the pre-fight kind of mucking about and stuff like that. I think that's a really nuanced way of looking at DPS. But within the context of what the top players, so-called top players, to quote Nemesis, within the context of what they consider to be DPS, their calculations are correct as well. I mean, they're both valid. They're just different. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me. I don't know. Educate me, please. Part 2. No giveaways.
Another thing I can say now in advance, Brazil's pre-buffing was one of the fastest pre-buffs I've seen. What he did, like pre-buffing, as he was moving towards the boss, I already seen a fire circle on the ground, and as he went in the fire circle, blasts were already falling, and then he quickly exited. I'm like, fuck, that's good coordination. And that's 4 seconds. And you've seen the scrub, the definition of scrub, that took 50 seconds to kill, to prepare for a boss that takes 10 seconds? If I were to add the DPS of Ice Bow and add another 50 seconds, which was the preparation for Ice Bow, makes no fucking sense. And I took the best case scenario. I told Brazil, give me your best footage. I don't think it's his best because he has a life and he has no time to keep testing and testing and testing, but it's a pretty good footage. Certainly better than what most people who kick get anyway. I don't think the wannabe scrubs, wannabe elitist scrub, has ever done a 52k 100 blades. I don't think they do. I personally don't think they do. Do you know why? Because in such parties with pugs, they do not keep as many vulnerability stacks as they did, and they do not keep as many might stacks as they did. And that 100 blades hit cannot be done. You did it when the boss was at lower HP, right?
Yeah.
So that 100 blade hit, 52k cannot be done in the beginning to benefit from the vulnerability which is in the beginning. And if you looked closely and analyzed my data, my necro footage, where I out DPS'd Brazil, in the end, I actually zoomed in on my buffs and on the debuffs. On my buffs, on the debuffs. The debuffs were gone. We had 15 stacks of vulnerability, and I was doing those 15 stacks. And I was doing that because I was time warping Leech Form. Boom, 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 boom. Otherwise, we would have no vulnerability stacks. And people are like, but you still get to benefit from the 25 stacks of might. 25 stacks of might. Bitch, I can hold my own 25 stacks of might. I don't need anything. So people are not aware of these little things that make a whole lot of difference.
It's the difference is, to simplify everything, is that when you talk about time spent from going into the fractal and coming out of the fractal, the calculations are addressed differently than if the time spent is starting exactly when you hit a boss once and exactly when it dies. They're different situations. And if you're attacking a target golem in PvP and somehow you get up to have 17k DPS, you have it for, maybe you have it for the time when you're killing the target golem, but when you're running in to fight Bloomhunger, when you're just running across, you don't have 17k DPS, and you're spending time in the encounter. And when you get in and start attacking it, or Stagmite before and pre-buff, this is all time that's accounted for somewhere. Maybe you don't consider it in how long it takes the boss to die, maybe you do. They're different situations, I think. And when people think they're doing 17k DPS all the time, no matter what they're doing, when they're blasting stealth, they think they're doing 17k DPS somehow. That's the problem. And when they use that to say the Necromancer only has 8k DPS and they just kick it out of the party, that's a problem. So,
and people don't know they don't actually have 17k DPS because the Ice Bow makes up for it. And it doesn't make up for it in their party. It makes up for it on YouTube because they saw it on YouTube. And they go, oh, I use Ice Bow, I do that. Motherfucker, you don't do that, especially on bosses with really small hitboxes. You think you do that, but you don't. And you would never do that in the first place, except only if you line cast. So you're crippling yourself. The difference between what people think they do and what they actually do is... yeah. And all the kicking is done based on this delusion.
Yeah.
No, really, literally.
But
that's how it is.
yeah. But I don't think this is unfixable.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I think everyone can just stop playing Guild Wars 2 and the problem is solved. Oh, please don't listen to that. That's not serious. I think that there has to be some level of mutual understanding, and people need to make an effort to understand other perspectives. Instead of the perspective of, I'm the best player in the game, I do 17k DPS. Or even the perspective of, I've been kicked out of a party so many times and I play Necromancer, so maybe Necromancer is just terrible. Both of those perspectives, there has to be something else. You have to look at other things. You have to make an effort to understand things. Necromancer's not a bad class. It has useful stuff, but you're not doing 17k DPS all the time, so...
Maybe even more useful come raids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lifesteal might be really, really awesome.
Oh.
And Transfusion might be too.
Exactly.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. I think they should do more with blood, though. I think they should really kick up the utility and the support aspects. So that everyone go, wow, we need a Necromancer. Otherwise, we won't have this. You know? It's just, right now there isn't a real... Oh, wow, it's a good thing we have a Necromancer. Otherwise, we'd be in real trouble right now.
I kind of agree with that. kind of. Because Robert G, I wouldn't agree with that if I didn't hear Robert G say, we want Necromancer, we want Reaper to support by doing damage. That's what he said on the stream when they were talking about Reaper for the first time. And Reaper does really high damage. And Reaper has a lot of sustain. Chris Cleary said on Reddit the other day too. He said that in fights where bosses die in 5 seconds, Necromancer's sustain doesn't matter. But in raids, it's going to matter. So these are all things I'm very hopeful, looking forward to raids. I think Necromancer will be, I think it'll be useful and good to take along. Because when Colin Johansson was talking in the raid announcement, and he says you're going to have party members back fighting the boss while other party members go to open up a way to jump off of the platform, who can sustain perfectly by themselves? Who has 2 huge HP pools and is completely self-sufficient outside of everyone else in the group? Necromancer, Reaper, they can do that. They can literally carry the party in that situation. I think raids are going to change everything. I think whatever stigmas are developed right now, if people want to hold on to those, they can, but they're just going to get left behind. If you go into a raid and you kick someone just for playing a Necromancer because you think you do 17k DPS on a target golem and that's raids, I mean, good luck. Good luck trying to have that mentality. It's not going to work.
No. What do you think about this? What do you think about this idea of sharing buffs across 10 players for raids?
I think it's good. I think that encourages a lot of party diversity.
Yeah, I mean, almost necessary, wouldn't you say? Considering that we're going to have 10-man content anyway.
If they lower the duration or the stacks, otherwise one player can maintain it for all players, and then you have buffer, and then you have tank, buffer, DPSers, and it's starting to look too much like the Holy Trinity. I want, in 10-man party, I want to need 2 buffers, not 1. Not because they don't share to everyone, just because they can't. Alone, they can't. I want 2 buffers.
The problem with that, the problem I see with that is then you take, what, 2 Phalanx Strength Warriors?
Yeah, exactly.
So then you have 8 slots left. Are you taking a Ranger?
Allies.
Because the Ranger's only going to affect 5 people.
2 spotters. You have to start doubling up on stuff like we see now.
We're taking 2 spotters, really?
So you basically just have the same thing. You have the same stacking buffs that you do now, stacking classes, but you just do it twice in the same instance, and I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah.
That's another thing I said. That's another thing. The meta taught people to play the game badly. That's not how you play the game. It's like, I don't know, putting a light bulb upside down into the socket. That's not how you play the game. Pre-buffing is retarded, especially in pugs, because they don't take 4 seconds like Brazil. They take like 15 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. Because everyone is waiting, and then someone says, can we get some might? And then someone goes, oh, that's me. And then he puts the field, and someone goes like, oh, no, unblasted. And then he puts the field again. That's 25 seconds. Buffing should be included in the damage rotation. So no matter how long the fight is, the buffs keep staying.
I agree.
Right now, it doesn't matter because Icebow makes a lot of fights really short anyway. And in longer fights where Icebow doesn't work, if you look at all the footage everywhere, in all situations, in a longer fight, by the end of the fight, people don't have all buffs. Because buffing is not included in the damage rotation, which is dumb by default. That's why they gave buffing so low duration, because it's not supposed to be like in World of Warcraft. At the beginning of the raid, everyone says, okay, time to buff, and everyone buffs, and you have buff for 1 hour. No, they wanted to break that. I especially remember that Colin guy said, we want to make buffing a fun mechanic. That's why they added damage to the fucking buffs. Otherwise, buffs would not have damage attached to them. Sorry, I'm yelling.
Yeah, when
I'm
you say
envisioning
that,
scrubs. I'm envisioning scrubs in my face. I'm yelling to the scrubs.
I agree. This was something that we started doing back in D&T a while ago. Instead of stopping to stack might before fight, like Subject Alpha and COE, instead of stopping in the hallway to stack might, you just run up to Subject Alpha, put down a fire field, you stack might on top of the boss as part of your rotation. You're getting buffs and you're killing the boss at the same time. It speeds up the whole process because you're not standing there for 5 seconds. And my new guild now, that's still something people are used to doing, just stopping before a fight and buffing, and they do it pretty quickly most of the time. But you can do that on top of the boss. You don't have to...
Right.
I mean, everybody has blast finishers, mostly. Like, I can take bone minions on Necromancer, and you put down a lava font. I just go up and explode them, and look, there's 6 stacks of might. And you do that, like, you get damage from the minions, and you're getting might, and you're killing the boss all at the same time.
And suddenly, exactly what Brazil said, suddenly a lot of the skills that seem useless are not useless. That's the thing. People believe the entire balance of the game is screwed up, when in fact, their play style is screwed up. The balance is more or less fine, except for the ice bow. Your play style is fucked, not the balance.
I think that's, yeah. We're seeing this sort of thing now with the Herald and the Tempest Warhorn as well. So you know, with the Warhorn, you extend the duration of boons and spread them around and stuff. And the Herald makes everything last forever. Yeah, you can just have with the passive thingy with loads of extra boon duration. So, I mean, that seems to be a direction they are interested in going. So, yeah, I think that is good. Having just have a constant flow of combat as opposed to rebuffing periods. I mean, right now it's not a problem because everything just melts because of ice.
Furthermore, and I wanted to approach this subject as well in part 2, but I will never be able to prove it reliable, no matter what I do. You saw I said they quit a party which was so strong we didn't even need corner stacking. For the record, my friend Batresh was using a Guardian Bunker build, my updated version, which I will post eventually. And we basically had 4 DPSers. We had the Mesmer as well. Yeah, we had the Mesmer as well. So Mesmer, not really that much AoE burst. Because he wasn't shattering, he was not that pro. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I could honestly say I was doing at least 40% of the overall AoE DPS, especially since I will spoil the bit. Anyway, I AoE burst faster than normal Necromancer's AoE burst using the same skill. That's all I can say for now. So I was doing most of the bursting. And think about it. In a non-coordinated group, I'm not talking about people who played together for a few months and they know each other perfectly. In a not-coordinated group, you go forward and then you make a left. Everyone stacks near a corner. That's 3, 4, 5 seconds lost. One individual goes, gets the mobs, comes back. Another 4 seconds lost. The mobs come over there. That's another 2 or 3 seconds lost. And then everyone bursts them. That's 7 seconds of preparation where if you play the game properly and you just go forward, you burst. And they all die without 7 seconds of preparation every single mob pack. And if you do play properly, in the end, you actually are faster without corner stacking if you just play builds that are made to function as the game was supposed to function. But in the beginning, people were unable to do that because they were unskilled, frankly. And not because they are bad players, but because it was such a huge leap from Holy Trinity with tanking and taunt. When they met in the beginning in Fractals 50, everyone thought like if you don't corner stack, you're going to die instantly. I just proved that you don't. I went in a pack of mobs, no corner stacking, no ice bow. No corner stacking, no ice bow. I melted the mobs. I melted the mobs, no corner stacking. That's how the game was supposed to be played. And it's faster than with corner stacking. And I know a lot of people will say, no one uses corner stacking anymore. Lies. I remember someone who I will not name said, no one corner stacks anymore. And then I went on his YouTube channel. The last footage he gave was from Honor of the Waves, corner stacking, corner stacking, corner stacking, corner stacking. I'm like, dude, corner stack here, 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 here. Why? And then he deleted his comments. I'm like, eh.
I want to address something. Pernix and Nike are talking in chat about ideal group situations and whatever, and that's fine. I don't think we're talking about that mostly because the majority of players in Guild Wars 2 aren't speedrun masterminds, and they don't play so coordinated. We're talking about more average groups, pug groups, stuff like that. So pug groups aren't going to know that Lightning Storm is really valuable necessarily. They're going to think Ice Bow 4 does a lot of damage, and they're going to use Ice Bow 4 and kick Necromancers. That's the problem. So
not just Necromancers, but many
Rangers
classes.
and anyone who's not. I mean, yeah, it's
Many classes.
yeah. It's a different situation, so I don't know. I understand both of those perspectives. I understand Pernix and Nike and what they're saying, but
yeah, the problem is not that there will be an optimal setup. It's the fact that it will, dribble down into the people who think they're super cool, amazing, elite non-scrubs.
Yes.
That's the inherent problem.
The drip down is the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all that, I don't know, having 7 Rangers and 3 Heralds will become the best mathematical way around it. For just a complete random example, is the fact that people will say, yes, we must copy these people to become as elite as the elite people. And
yeah.
And this is something that I agree totally with Nemesis. This seems to always come up, but if you have this kind of elitism or whatever, searching for that perfect composition, you've already lost your time that you would have gained from your perfect composition. You've already wasted all your time.
And I said this. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, yeah, I agree with that point you make. It's completely.
And
completely
I said,
true,
and I
think.
actually did the math in my head. I'm not sure if that math is accurate, to be honest. If you do a 30-minute run, and you take 50 minutes to prepare for that 30-minute run, that's a 50% handicap. Right. So if you take longer than, since every party member is about 25% of the group's DPS, if you take longer than 7 minutes to prepare, you would have been better off 4-manning it. That's mathematically valid, right?
Well, I don't know that you can have 5 people be 25%, maybe 20%. But 5 people being 25% of your DPS would be more than 100%.
Yeah, 20%. So, my bad. Anyway, I'm trying to remember from the script. Yeah, so if you take longer than 7 minutes, you would have been better off 4-manning it. So people who wait more than, since you're not 4-manning it, you're adding a Necromancer. If you wait more than 4 minutes to fill up that slot, you would have been better off if you add the Necromancer that has nothing. Just pew, and you're still faster. That's just based on the time you wait and the final outcome.
Zoltra, we're not trying to compare speedruns with mediocre plebs. We're saying that there are an unfortunate minority of people who think they're speedrunners, and they will get rid of people who aren't what they're looking for because they think that they have to emulate the meta to a complete T, otherwise the game is unplayable, or they don't think it's worth it.
They're not the minority.
I don't think
the minority.
I'd
the
like to
minority
think so.
are the actual speedrunners, the elite. I
Yeah.
don't see.
Yeah.
I don't see 1,000 Mikus soloing. I see 1 Miku, and I said he's a good player. I don't see 1,000 warriors soloing Mossman. I see very few warriors soloing Mossman.
Yeah, he was.
They are the minority. The majority is.
He was excluding that small group of people because that's like the minority of the minority. That's like, there are very few people who can solo Mossman and solo Mytrin and solo Lupicus in like 5 minutes. But then there's a small group of players, excluding that group, within everyone that plays Guild Wars 2, there is a small subgroup of people who think they can solo Mossman and who think they can solo Bloomhunger or Lupicus in 5 minutes and who think they're like speedrun gods, but they're not. And everyone who is not as good as they think they are gets kicked. It's like when you have one rapper who's really good, like Lil Wayne, because his analogies are the best, but then you have a million other rappers who just have shitty mixtapes. It's the same fucking thing. That's an argument by analogy fallacy, but whatever. I'm gonna make it anyways.
Are you trying to say you didn't like the mixtape I sent you?
No, I did not like this mixtape. So,
I mean, Inks is a rapper?
yeah.
That would not be good.
That would be so awesome. You would be the only Viking rapper in history.
Just for the record, I don't really like Lil Wayne either. I mean, Lil Wayne was good once upon a time, but he got full of himself and he turned into a wannabe elitist scrub.
Little Inks, that's right. It's
Little
gonna be my
Inks.
rap name.
Little oinks.
Little Oinks. I'll get a gold pig to hang around my neck.
Yeah.
The best comments are about Inks.
Yeah.
As I was going
They
forward,
definitely
a
are.
lot of people said like he's just scratching his beard like the Reddit mods.
Bad habit.
There was I guess we've kind of exhausted this topic a lot,
Yeah.
and we should talk about the beta a little
Yeah.
bit. But there was one comment on Reddit that Nemesis showed me that was so good. It said fixed an exploit where Necromancer could pick up the ice bow. And I thought that was so funny. That was what yeah.
Patch notes.
that was really good. That was my favorite comment. My second favorite comment was the comment about someone saying that Nemesis was shitting on me in the video, but that was just whatever. We should talk about the beta.
I got whispers like saying Brazil should report you so you get banned. Like I'm going to tell him that.
Okay.
I'll let him know.
Oh,
Are the 5 AP from beta for keeps? No.
Yeah, I don't think so. There was I've heard a lot about being able to keep masteries on your like real account if you do the beta achievements, but I don't know if that was true. And then I heard people saying that was supposed to happen, but it was bugged.
I don't think so. It's an echo. I mean, you're playing on an echo of your account. The echo won't get saved.
Exactly.
You'll delete the
Yeah.
echo eventually.
Exactly. The
It's
thing that I
going
was
boom.
the most upset about was that I made like 2 sets of Ascended Armor. Nemesis made 3 sets of Ascended Armor, and we put them in the bank, and it didn't carry over. So I didn't get to play Daredevil and Fractals, and I didn't get to test Condi Reaper out. I made stuff to do that, and I didn't get to. I was kind of upset about that.
Yeah, unless it was a fresh account, I don't think it recopied anything from like the last beta.
Not even on a fresh account.
Not even on a fresh. Okay.
Nemesis deleted all of his characters after the last
Right after
beta,
beta was over, I deleted all of them.
and his account was still the same.
And the worst part is, not only it was my account was the same, I used about 100 of my change armor thingy, and I had only 20 left. And now, I still have 20 left.
Yeah. So that wasn't copied.
That made me sad, boys. But
Did Teapot play the Elementalist Elite again?
Yeah.
did you play Tempest?
Yes. Tempest
What do
is
you think?
amazing. What? Come what? You can get no. It's just because I like auras. You can if you have 2 Tempests, you can have permanent magnetic aura for everyone in your party. Broken, I tell you, broken. No, yeah, you have to keep kind of a good rotation going, but you can have unlimited magnetic auras. So your entire party can be immune to projectiles.
That's pretty good.
I don't know if it has any other application. The problem is you have to use staff for that, and I don't like playing staff, but whatever. I think if you... What? I don't.
Staff does 17k DPS.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't like it in this is in Stronghold and stuff. Structured
Okay,
PvP,
okay.
not PvE. I know.
Okay.
I realize that if you play Dagger in PvE, you may be laughed
Right.
at.
Right. But in PvP, it's the best build.
I know that some people do. There are Berserker staff builds in PvP, but I don't really like it. But you can get lots of magnetic aura with it, and that makes it worth it, because I like auras, and you can have loads of auras at all times. Permanent chilling, that Reaper synergy, yo.
I saw a Berserker Elementalist in PvP once with staff. I hit him for 8k with Life Blast.
But that's just a normal person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Dagger Elementalist. There are a couple of people in my guild that are very, very good at PvP, and I'm not just saying that. Like they're very, very good at PvP, and like I have a hard time beating Dagger Celestial Elementalist with a fucking Signet Necromancer because they play it so well. And like I can beat their engineer with Necromancer, but Dagger Elementalist, like Signet Necromancer is supposed to counter that build. And maybe I'm just not very good at PvP, or at least not as good as them. But, like, you take away boons on that build, but when you can do it, like, the uptime on your boon removal is decent. It's not as fast as they can apply them. Because they can just apply them, like, you take them all off after they do their rotation, and then, like, a few seconds later, suddenly they have all of their boons again. And it's hard to beat them because they sustain very well. And I mean,
their sustain is incredible.
It's so strong, and like having permanent magnetic aura on that, like that really makes me scared, because as soon as I go in with Life Blast to fight one of them,
but you need two. You need two Tempests for that. You can't do it on your own.
2v2, you just kill us with our own Life Blasts, or you make us take our own,
because you've got the Reaper. You're a Reaper, right? So you don't have projectiles. Wait, what was your amazing duo that you were talking about some times ago?
Yeah, Condi Reaper, and Condi Necromancer and Malik's Revenant.
Yeah.
But you don't even need that. I played around with that, and this was funny. I said, well, I was testing stuff out a little bit in PvP, and I said, I just want you to stand still, and I'm going to put Torment on you. So I put on like 6 stacks of Burning and like 15 stacks of Torment, and he's just standing there dying, and he was like, what the fuck, this is strong. And I was like, run around, just start moving, and like he just dies because he has so much Torment on him with Revenant. And then after that, like I went back out and I was like looking at myself to test on Target Golem some more, and like I had left the TeamSpeak channel and stuff, and I looked and I was like, oh my fucking god, I had a Berserker's Amulet and Strength Runes on. So I went back and told him, and I was like, I had a Berserker's Amulet with Strength Runes on. And we both just kind of laughed for like a minute. And I didn't revisit the situation, but like Condi Revenant in PvE, or sorry, not in, it's terrible in PvE. In PvP, all of that Torment is, and you put poison on too, like permanent poison and Torment is disgusting. It is so good. In Power Revenant, you have the sword and no one can get away from you.
Yeah.
Like you can't get away from Revenants in PvP.
A lot of fun.
Stronghold, like you just chase people around all over the terrain. You pull them off of the Mist Essence with the Sword 5. It's really funny.
The Shiro is a lot of fun.
Oh
the 3 move, the one where you go invisible and sled, it is so strong. It is awesome. So powerful. Yeah, it just destroys people. It can nearly take a full health bar on some people. It's pretty insane. I think they've it is in a good place right now, much like how Guardians were at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like Dragon Hunters.
Yeah. You've
about
sorry, go ahead.
Dragon Hunters. Brazil said something about Dragon Hunters in the beginning. I wanted to say something and I forgot. I remember now. You said there's really no use for them.
I don't really see one.
Yeah, but they are kind of the. Are there more classes that can do that high amount of damage at 1,200 range?
Ranger.
Yeah.
Ranger can.
Out DPSs them.
Our DPS is at 1,200 range.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think so.
Well,
You have
I'm
rapid shot.
speaking out of my backside.
Well,
I don't have the actual stats or numbers
The
in front of me.
thing
I
about
would think so.
Ranger is that the auto attack does more damage the farther away you are, and rapid shot is very, very strong. So between both of those, I can't imagine that Ranger wouldn't out DPS Dragon Hunter.
Power Ranger, right?
Yeah, condition damage, I don't know. It
Guys,
probably does more condition damage at range.
Because, yeah, exactly. More condition damage at 1,200 range. So it fills a slot that was left. Because I played a bit of Guardian,
Okay.
and I was doing really big burns at 1,200 range.
Okay.
That's a fair point, then, I think.
Yeah, my problem with Dragon Hunter is for this beta weekend, the changes that they are making to it didn't actually go live. They're held back. So we won't get to see those changes and how effective, and that's very sad because we won't get to see how effective those changes were until BWE 3. I was very interested in trying Dragon Hunter again to see how the changes felt, to see how Longbow felt now that all that kind of stuff has been changed. But until I can play it, I don't really need to play test it anymore. My general opinion on Dragon Hunter isn't going to change until I can play with the changes.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think some of the problems with Dragon Hunter stems from the fact that you can only take 3 specializations now? Maybe you don't even want some of it?
This is the same thing that I experienced when I played competitive Pokemon for forever. 4 move slot syndrome. There were Pokemon like Mew. Like, you want to have 5 move slots, but there are only 4. And like, I would so love to be able to have 4 specializations for Reaper, like Blood Magic, Soul Reaping, Spite, and Reaper. If I could have all 4 of those, if I could have Zeal, Honor, Virtues, and Dragon Hunter on Guardian, that would be awesome. But you have to pick 3. You have to understand that there is an opportunity cost for those of you who have ever taken a high school economics class. So, yeah.
What do you sacrifice?
Exactly. You're gaining something new and special that does something different. It does something different. So you have to make a sacrifice. I think that's a good system because that's diversity. But I think it gets to be bad when there are situations like on Revenant where every single build seems to be Herald, Invocations, and then whatever legend you're going to primarily be on. That makes just base Revenant seem very useless. Because, like, you don't really... I can't think of any situation where I would take, like, Devastation, Corruption, or whatever, and, like, Invocations. Maybe there will be. Maybe if there needs to be, like, a hybrid, like you play Mace Axe and Sword, or Mace Axe and Sword Axe, and you need to switch between power and condition damage, maybe that could happen. I can't think of any situations right now that there are.
Not currently.
Yeah, but maybe that will come in the future. I don't know. So... situations. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the approach is going to change because right now we're looking for situations to make these things viable, but situations will come that make these things viable in the future, right. I think.
I definitely think so. I think definitely switching between power and condition damage is something that's going to happen.
Yeah, like Cleric's Guardian is viable in Fractals right now. But
wait, I don't even know, man. I'm pretty sure.
I'm taking shots. Don't
yeah,
worry.
I'm pretty sure you are.
Yeah,
but I don't even know with you anymore. Sometimes it's just impossible.
I know. I'm really good.
The trolling is real.
I'm good at not having emotions.
No, it's nomads apparently.
Yeah,
even more defensive. Oh, sorry, Nemesis.
Is retribution from the trade path, has it been changed enough to be actually useful for something for
That's
Revenant?
Chalice, right? Retribution
That's Chalice.
goes with
Yeah.
Chalice. I don't know.
Maybe there was a blog post about raids where they talk about stacking up toughness, about really needing to be tough for some of these raid boss encounters. Maybe Jalas has a place in that area.
I think it will be. They talked about having a class taunt and take aggro while condition damage players sit behind the boss and do damage. So if you need to taunt and take aggro, you taunt on the Revenant, you use Rite of the Great Dwarf, and you just don't die. And then you have the best heal skill out of all of the things. You have a hammer to backpedal and do damage. You have a swiftness field so people can run around. You have projectile blocking. There are situations that I can come up with that I'm of average intelligence at best. But the people that are working for ArenaNet designing these encounters have probably already thought of whatever I'm capable of thinking of, and then even more. So I'm not worried at all about like Retribution and Jalas not being viable. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
They have tools. They have damage meters there, so they can actually see.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. What happened to that third-party damage meter that some
It's
guy
still
made?
around. It's on the D&T forums.
Yeah. But I
There's a
mean,
link
is it a big thing? I mean,
not many people use it. It just reads memory.
I yeah.
It's just illegal. I don't use it. I don't condone using it, but it's there. There are people that do.
I mean, wouldn't that be a good way to measure the damage?
Yeah.
Isn't it against the
Probably.
It is.
TOS?
Yeah.
Reading memory is against the TOS.
Probably shouldn't be using it.
I doubt they'd ban for it though, or would they? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not willing to take that chance
I know
science.
people that use it, and they haven't been banned. The guy that developed it and like made it hasn't been banned. So I don't know.
It's a risk that you'll have to assess on your own.
Yeah, like Wooden
Not something I would
Potatoes and we both use combat mode. I've used combat mode for over 2 years at this point. I've not ever said I don't or denied using it. But like I use it, I love it. I think it makes the game much more enjoyable, and I think it allows for more flexibility, and it has the benefit of people that have a handicap, people that, they may be disabled in one arm, or they may have like carpal tunnel or something, or maybe they had a finger amputated. It lets them bind things in other ways outside of just what's default, and it gives you the ability to do that. And I also don't think it gives you any unfair advantages, because it's a thing you have to constantly toggle on and off depending on what you're doing. So I don't think it's giving you, like when I play PvP with it, playing PvP with it is honestly a disadvantage, because I have to turn my camera all the time, manually aim every single ground target, and I have to toggle it on and off all the time depending on what I'm doing. Like if I want to go and click on somebody to target them specifically or pick them out, I have to toggle it off, go find them, toggle it back on, and in that downtime, I'm kind of like screwed. And if I ever wanted to go play at if I got really good at PvP and wanted to go play in a huge PvP tournament in China or whatever, I wouldn't be able to, because they wouldn't let me use combat mode there, and I'd be fucked because I can't play the game without combat mode anymore.
Bible thump.
I know, Bible thump.
Bible thump.
But I don't know. I think something like a damage meter is different because you can use that to kick other people out of your party. You can use that for bad things, but you can also use it for good things. Like I used to play with someone, and it wasn't just the damage meter. It told you a lot of stuff. Whenever they would post an LFG and it would say Berserker's armor ping gear, and someone would join and they would ping Berserker's armor, but you could see how much toughness and HP they had, which you can't see that information any other way, then you would know, oh, they're just lying, and they'd get kicked. And it gives you access to information that is detrimental and beneficial, and I don't think that's something they want. But I haven't really heard of anyone being banned for it. And I know people that have used it. I personally know people that have used it, and they haven't been banned. So I don't know.
Yeah, you kick people, but at least you kick people for the right reasons.
Yeah.
For example, you guys, I don't know if you follow the forums. Some people that were coming again, they were charging against me, posting a lot of arguments. They ran out of arguments to say. And some guy posted a screenshot of me being an elitist. Did you guys see that?
I saw it.
There was this guy who was in our Fractal 50, a Necromancer, and he said, I don't have enough agony resistance on my warrior, or whatever he was, I don't know. Can I come with a Necromancer? Like, fine, no problem. And he came with his Necromancer, and Batrish noticed the damage was really low. I'm like, whatever, just doesn't matter, let's just finish this. And he said, why is the damage so low? One of you is not Berserker. And everyone pinged gear, like, we are all Berserker. And then he noticed the Necromancer, because I don't pay attention to the team, but he can, since he's mostly tank build. He saw that the Necromancer was auto-attacking with the staff. And he said, Necromancer, what are you doing? And he said, I'm blasting in wells. And then
For projectile finishers.
Yeah, for projectile finishers. And then Batrish kept talking to him, and we found out that eventually he was Berserker Cavalier, and he was using Scepter, Warhorn, and Staff. Not Life Blast. Scepter, Warhorn, and Staff. And when I heard that, I said, I was really tired and my head was hurting because I have eye problems apparently, and I'm still waiting for my glasses. Different story. And my head was pounding so hard. I'm like, fuck, let's just finish this. I'll do just me and Batrish, fuck. And I said, my head is hurting when I say this crap, when I see crap like this. And then that's when, right after that, I saw the guy was having a scepter in hand. That's how we found out the entire story. And I said, are you using a scepter seriously, man? And that's all I said. My head hurts when I hear stuff like this, and you're seriously running a scepter. Batrish said a few more things like, we don't want you in this party, you do no damage. And he was like, no, I do great damage. But we still carried him. We didn't kick. We carried him all the way to the end. And by the end, I explained a few things, and I gave him a build. Like, use this, enjoy, goodbye. And they said, oh, you're an elitist. I'm like, fuck, you kick me. I go, hello, guys, kick. And I'm the guy with the damage. And I don't kick people like that do as much damage as my golem, literally, because he was auto-attacking staff. And I'm an elitist.
Well, Inks, we haven't heard much about your beta shenanigans. Tell us, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I did a lot of streaming Friday and Saturday for several hours each. I played a lot of Stronghold. I don't think it's a secret. I love Stronghold. I think it's a great game type. I have a lot of fun in it. They've added some more quality of life upgrades. They've added some more quality of life upgrades where you can see like Nika or Savad or who's the other guy? Jeez, how am I forgetting the main character? But anyway, you can see their power, you can see their offensive capabilities, their defensive, and their speed. So now it's just like an easy little look. And when you summon them, it now comes up with like a red or blue banner behind their name saying Nika was summoned or whatever the case was. So that was a lot of fun. A lot of exploration. You know, I'm a big Guild Wars 2 explorer. Like that's my favorite part. So finding the different mastery points. There's an unmarked mastery point in the map for those who haven't found that one yet. I don't know whether that's intentional or a bug, but that was a lot of fun to find. And just generally jumping around and gliding and doing the events were a little more focused and fun. I'm still not a fan of night combat or the night events, but ArenaNet assures us we're not seeing the final form of this, so I guess we'll wait and see. Several hours, more like all day. Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was like 8 or 9 hours and then 8 hours or something.
Stronghold.
Maybe that's all day. Guess it's all day.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to play much Conquest again because of how much I enjoy Stronghold.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. It's amazing. Shame I always get wrecked, but still. And especially with Daredevil. I always got interrupted when I was trying to get the finisher on the Lord, but yeah. Feel the power. Feel the power of the elite. The amazing elite. You want to get the Stability Thief. Stability Thief, which they don't really have They are Assassin's Equilibrium. That's yeah. We have an amazing build. Or does that even exist anymore? I can't remember. And then you use the Elite with a Daredevil.
You're asking the wrong person. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it does. I don't know. But you get stability on the Thief, and you use the Elite to finish the Lord. You win the game. Everyone calls Daredevil overpowered. Then the next day, it is removed from the game.
Daredevil's fun. It just sucks with the dodges.
We talked about that quite a lot, but we cannot emphasize that enough. The dodges are clunky and annoying. But they are quite powerful if they work. But it's very difficult to use, unfortunately. The idea is good, though. Even though people claim it's very similar to monks in WoW, and I guess that is actually kind of true. Although, monks would not exist without Guild Wars, so it is not. It's a derivative of a derivative. Come on. The whole dodge roll from monks came from Guild Wars. So, haha! They may have built on that. Yeah, exactly. We win again. Guild Wars 2 wins again. Triumphs over the World of Warcraft plebs.
I remember when they first advertised Guild Wars 2 and they were showing segments from the Mount Maelstrom fight with the Destroyer. And everyone like, this is like Molten Core. It's a WoW copy, WoW copy. And people were like, it's a fucking volcano. World of Warcraft didn't invent volcanoes.
Yeah, Mount Vesuvius did, and Pompeii. Pompeii there was no Latin word for volcano until like Mount Vesuvius, I think. And World of Warcraft was not around back then.
That is true.
At least as far as I know. Maybe they had computers.
How do you know? Were you there?
Maybe when the lighthouse of
there,
Alexandria was destroyed, that was when we lost all of our knowledge of computers and had to rebuild them from scratch. But yeah, I was there. I actually know everything, but just not at the same time.
Well
he
said.
also invented pants.
That's a good invention.
That was the best thing. I invented that.
Did you do sliced bread as well? Sliced bread?
Yes, I do.
So are pants the best thing since sliced bread?
Pants? I don't like pants. I usually don't wear them.
Okay.
A moment of silence.
Yeah.
It's
been confirmed right here on TeaTime.
The problem with long pants is that they're not fun when you're a fat guy. So I usually just wear shorts. But I don't know. When I was skinny, I wore jeans all the time. But it's a fat guy thing. Fat guys prefer shorts. Nemesis is disagreeing with me.
I don't like jeans at all.
Oh.
They're so... They stick to your legs. I'm like, why? I wore jeans like 2 or 3 times because I had to. Doesn't matter why. Let's just say we all had to wear jeans, so I had to wear jeans. And I'm like, how do women walk? Because everything on women is so tight. I'm like, it's bad.
Just imagine with the high heels as well. That's just impossible. That's actually impossible in my opinion. I just fall over.
I don't know why anyone has I don't know why people have. We're getting in. Never mind. We're getting.
This is way too off topic. We should talk about video games instead.
High heels meta.
Let's talk about Gamergate.
TeaTime Boys, where we talk about jeans and all kinds of other random things.
Yeah. I was about to just go with it for miles though, and it wouldn't have been good. So, anyways.
Hey, what else should we talk about with the beta? I don't know. Anyone else have something to talk about? Because we talked about it for about kind of 35 minutes at the start, and I can't remember what we talked about.
You know, I don't think there's a whole lot to say. You can talk about the events. There's the Lord Farron event.
I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk about the Lord Farron event first.
Well, there's a couple of events. There's the Lord Farron event, and then there's the event of characters from like your personal story. So it's nice to see the callback to some of these characters making it back into the game. For those who did the personal story or remember the personal story for 3 years, if you haven't done it, you may not remember. But it's cool to see the little lore callbacks for these things with the events itself. There's some interesting lore that has to do with this, with the dead tree That's not his exact name, but there's a dead tree in the map. The map itself, I think, looks really cool. Gliding is amazing. I don't know what else to say about the beta. It's a lot of fun. You should play it.
Yes.
I have a
You're
question.
teasing people that didn't get in the beta. You should play it.
Pre-order. just go to the loading screen and click the pre-order.
Yeah.
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 Every time you fucking see a map. Have you pre-ordered Heart of Thorns? Click here to pre-order Heart of Thorns.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have pre-ordered, and it's still trying to sell me more copies. Come on. What kind of?
You don't own enough.
Yeah. Buy another one.
I have a really noob question. So I probably should just watch Ink's video on this because I saw he made a video, but I haven't had time to watch it yet. So I have been running around in the new map, and I have the gliding mastery like on training right now, but I guess I don't have a point in it, and so I can't glide, and so like I go and jump off of something and I just die. And like I've been running around trying to do events and stuff to progress the mastery, but it goes really slowly. Just doing events.
You need a lot of XP. You need a lot of XP to make it happen.
I'm really scared about that. Like, well, first of all,
can you cheat the system because it's possible to do right now?
Well, no, not even that. It's just like, is it supposed to like take a long time?
Yes.
To just get the glider.
This is end game progression. Let's not forget. This is what ArenaNet wants to be their end game progression. And to be fair, in this particular beta, if you hadn't leveled it before, now I had the privilege, I guess, of leveling it earlier and it carrying over into this new slice of the map. But you're being plopped down into basically the center of the map right now. So by the time you get to the center of the map, gliding should be unlocked at the very least.
I didn't have it unlocked.
Right, so if you don't have it unlocked, that makes it all the more painful to kind of run around a little bit to get to different places. I will say that once you have gliding unlocked and bouncy mushrooms unlocked, those are like the first two you should really go for.
Yeah.
Getting around the map becomes instantly faster.
Yeah,
you can take shortcuts. You can just say, hey, I need to get down there. Or just jump off the cliff and go for it. Like, it's not as big a deal.
Like, I've been watching people, and like, they're just doing stuff I just can't do. And it's probably because... I only did like Dungeons and Fractals the first beta weekend. I didn't go into the new zone at all, and I didn't like level anything. So that's probably just my fault then. But I was just like worried because I was like in a place where gliding is like so prevalent, and I'm seeing everyone doing it, but I don't have it unlocked. So okay, that makes sense that it's just my fault.
Not only that, but getting some of the, not all of them, but getting some of the mastery points are nearly impossible without some of these masteries. So in order to further your masteries along, you have to have gliding. You have to have the bouncy mushroom for one of them in particular. For some of them, like back in the original 25% of the map, not what we have right now, but the first beta weekend, there was one where you needed to have tier 3 in gliding to even get that mastery point. You can bug that one out and get it, but that's not the proper way. If you were trying to get it the proper way, you actually needed tier 3 in gliding. So it's interesting that some of these mastery points, you get basic gliding, you'll be able to get a number of them, and then you're going to need to come back at a later time probably to get others. So pretty interesting.
I think that's a good system. I think it's good. I just need to actually learn it.
Yeah, there's some worry and concern with the system. I think the pacing is very good right now. However, I'm concerned about, there's a Reddit post. I'm not going to go into great detail here because I don't really promote that, but there's ways to cheat the system. No, not the ISPO. There's ways to kind of cheat the mastery system right now. I'm hoping that that's fixed. On top of that, what if you just drop a crafting station in Verdant Bring and just start crafting up? Because crafting is experience, that gives you mastery experience. Is that an issue? Because if it is, I'll just do that to level my mastery, and that kind of sucks.
Too.
I mean, isn't that kind of my immersion is shattered a little bit? I don't think I like that.
I'll just go dump supply in an outpost and just fucking craft there and kill frogs at the same time. It'll be perfect.
XP scrolls and tomes don't work on mastery.
Exactly. So that would kind of seem to say that they don't want stuff like crafting to work.
I also didn't play with boosters on. I know that some people did, so I'm not sure how much faster it levels with boosters. I'm sure ArenaNet took that into account, hopefully, so that's not really a big issue. But the big thing is doing events, and Right now, the problem is we're only getting small slivers of the map. As the map opens up to complete, you'll be able to run around, do way more events, during the daytime, not be limited to 1 or 2 events at a time. And at nighttime, you'll be able to see that full Knights mechanic in full swing. Right now, you're not really getting a feel or a full taste for that. So that's also like something to take into consideration, I guess.
The graphics, the atmosphere, from a graphical point of view, is amazing.
Yes.
I always felt it was lacking. I never liked the lore. For me, Guild Wars 2 doesn't even have lore. Not that it's not there, it's not presented right. Like, you cannot compare Zaitan with Illidan or the Lich King or whatever. When the Lich King came, like, wow! I had people in my country and all over the world, they were lining up to see the trailer on big screens, and everyone was like, oh my god, what did Zaitan do? That's bullshit. So I didn't like, it's not that the game didn't have high graphic quality, the art style wasn't giving me this feeling. The entire game wasn't, the sound, the art style, everything to give me this feeling. I will never forget, you guys played World of Warcraft, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For 15 minutes.
He hasn't got the full experience.
I played, I'll tell you about my WoW experience. This was, again, about 2 years ago when D&T was still under leadership of Lenny and Cherise. And Cherise convinced me to get World of Warcraft to play with her when it was on sale one day. So I bought the battle chest and everything for like $35. And I installed the game. And as soon as I made my blood elf or whatever, I went into the starting zone and I immediately got whispered by like 15 different people to buy gold and join their guild. And I just closed the game and uninstalled it. I was like, I'm not going to play this game. Fuck this.
Okay, you won't understand what I will say then.
I won't.
I played on the Horde side and on the Alliance side. And when you go into the Goldshire or whatever it was, when you first enter, you hear that vroom. And then when you go from the first zone into the Darkwood or whatever it was called, it was many years ago, and you had that shift in the atmosphere as you were flying with the Griffin, you're like, oh man, the immersion and the feeling the game gave you, it was amazing. Even the really small details, like when you were going to an NPC, like, what can I do for you? And the voice was just felt part of the world. In Guild Wars 2 and in a lot of games, especially recently where they release a lot of games early and they don't polish them, it's like the voice and the voice acting is out of place, like in a bad movie. You know what I mean? And combine that with not enough cinematics, not enough really good lore, like meaningful lore, like quotes that you will hear you get stuck in your mind for many years to come. Someone gave me a quote, like really meaningful quote from Guild Wars. Like, really.
This won't end well.
No, I mean,
yeah.
if I say, feel the rage of 10,000 years, or should I lay down my Frostmourne and surrender, and you are not prepared, that means something. Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Look,
it's kind of funny. I think I have like the opposite.
You think you've won? You've done nothing.
You are not prepared. Obviously, sticks out in my mind. The other ones I played WoW for 7 years.
No. Go to the armory. That's where Zadarosny will be.
I didn't listen to the story or anything like that. So you were not prepared. Obviously, that was the big catch line for that particular expansion. So that one sticks out. But I raided for 7 years in WoW. I didn't know anything about the story. It's kind of funny in that way. All I did was log in and raid and log back out. I didn't really do anything else. But yeah, catchphrases. I don't know.
By Ogden's hammer. What?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
That's
yeah,
a good
that's a really good point. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Well done.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Citizens.
Citizens.
But I mean,
Beware! I haven't taken leave of my senses.
yeah,
But
Blizzard
no one knows
and
that.
Even the laugh, the undead laugh. Everyone who has ever played WoW will always remember the undead laugh. You know what I'm talking about. When the undead, you go /lol or /laugh.
Yeah.
It was so well made. It was like a living world. It's like Witchers. Witcher is actually better. But for an MMO, it was like a living world altogether. Guild Wars 2 until now just seemed like bits and pieces were thrown together and they made a game, like a big pile of something. And now it seems like they're working. They really worked on that, because I was getting a bit of immersion. I was getting a bit of feeling. I was running down the road. I was like, oh, this is actually nice. And then I'm like, oh, this is nice as well. And then that music that I like started playing. I'm like, oh, it's on. But then I lost it. But still, the potential is there.
Oh,
yeah, they have that dynamic combat music now too, which is pretty interesting. I think that needs a little bit of tightening up as well. It's a little out of sync every once in a while, or it ends too abruptly
There's an
sometimes.
option for that in game.
Right, but it's like they talked about this on Points of Interest on Friday, where it intensifies the deeper into combat you get.
Okay.
So you start off fighting one mob, let's say, and the battle music starts. Now you're fighting 2, 3, 4 mobs, and it like intensifies the music. It's like it kind of puts you on edge a little bit. That coupled with the map design, where you literally are on ledge a lot of times. You need to be careful not to jump off the ledge or necrocopter off the ledge or whatever the case is.
Oh my god, I have such good footage of that happening. There's a well, I won't interrupt you again. I'm sorry.
Just that music, the intense music, coupled with the precarious situations you find yourself in combat, and a lot of times the enemies knock you back or they knock you down. They really, kind of mess with you. I don't know. That was giving me a little bit more immersion, I think, than I'm used to. But it's all those things like connected to each other.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, the chat of nostalgia has kind of a good point. The Guild Wars 2 story was executed quite a lot better than the Guild Wars 2 story, in my opinion, at least.
The Guild Wars 1 story?
Yeah.
One story.
And the whole universe as well, actually.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. But, I mean, when we're talking about stuff like World of Warcraft, they are the masters of polish. Blizzard are the polish masters. And all their cutscenes are amazing. Blizzard, I don't know. I don't think I can really think of better in-game proper cutscenes than the ones that Blizzard make. They make fantastic cutscenes and trailers and stuff.
Yeah, it's like watching a Pixar trailer or something.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Like, I've seen like StarCraft cutscenes and stuff, and I don't know anything about StarCraft at all. But like, they're just like, what the fuck? This is awesome. And yeah, it's cool. Guild Wars 2, like, you see a Guardian make a shield, and then a veteran giant punches him, and you're like, oh, cool, a new game. So
exactly what I mean. And they invest a lot of work in making those cutscenes, but it's not necessarily about cutscenes. I don't know if you guys are old school gamers and played the Gothic series. None of you played Gothic?
No.
Oh my god. Never mind. Sometimes it's been like 10 years, almost 10 to 15 years, and sometimes when I sleep, I can still hear the voices from the city. You are in this medieval city, and they had the best feeling. They had like people were whispering in the background, and it was the sea, and people were whispering like, and it sounded so beautiful, like melodious and catchy and interesting and all of that stuff. And it was definitely the best, not soundtrack, the best background noise. The best background noise I ever heard. The only thing that ever came close to that was Neverwinter Nights. You guys played Neverwinter Nights?
A little bit.
So when you went into Waterdavian, something city, in the first city, when everyone was panicking and yelling, the background noise of the fighting with the swords and people yelling for that was amazing. Instant feel, instant mood.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've kind of had a problem with Guild Wars 2. Like, I play with a custom soundtrack. I put the Dungeon Defenders soundtrack into Guild Wars 2 because like the Guild Wars 2 soundtrack all of the fighting music and all of the like any kind of music, like the city music and stuff, it sounds like it could just fit anywhere. There's nothing about it that stands out to me at all. It's not poorly executed or anything. It doesn't sound bad. It's just it feels a lot like Revenant before it had Herald, I guess, to put it into other terms. And so like Dungeon Defenders, the music there, like when you were in Aquanos and the like bells and the like underwater music was playing, you were like, "Oh my god, I feel like I'm in an underwater city." And it's this music and this atmosphere. And when you were fucking in the creepy jungle and there are like little chimes and stuff and like creepy swamp music, it was so atmospheric and the music was executed so well. In Guild Wars 2, like the music, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that like the composition or anything is bad. It's just the atmosphere. Just the only music I really enjoyed was the passive Divinity's Reach music. And even still, I prefer my tavern music to that because it just feels better.
It's gotten a lot better since I think Living World Season 2. A lot of the original music is Jeremy Soule, and I know people love Jeremy Soule, and he is good at what he does, obviously. There's no doubt about that. But because of that, it gave this very kind of like broad spectrum music to the game and not very, like you said, not very specific, very memory inducing kind of music. So I think since McLean and Lena had taken over composing music for different parts of it, Living World Season 2 was much better. Heart of Thorns is getting even better than that. There's a lot, if you turn the music on or you listen to it, there's a lot of jungle music. You get to particular areas, they're playing different instruments like wind reeds and drums. It's just a much better feeling, I think, going forward. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot more of the area, but I think they're getting better at doing a couple of things. Number one, they're getting better at making their own music now and putting that music in at particular areas. And then, like McLean was saying, there's like 3 notes or 3 chords or something like that for all of the Mordremoth or all of the Mordrum music. So it all ties together. You hear this 3 notes or these 3 chords or something, and you're like, oh, Mordremoth, okay. Now, that's just like background noise kind of, or undertones, because the rest of the music is different, but you hear particular notes, this 3-note rhythm or whatever it is, and it makes your brain automatically think, okay, Mordremoth, because that's the theme of the Mordrum itself.
Yeah.
And I like where they're going with that. So
I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. In the Living Story, there was this part with the library, and you had that ghost of the king, and that ghost had like this voice that would make my furniture shake because I have really big speakers. And then when we get to the beta, that minion says, Mordremoth, please help me. And Mordremoth is going, I hear you, my minion. What? I was expecting my fucking windows to explode from the epicness of the voice of the dragon.
Right.
It was just a regular guy. I think if you do a deep voice, Inks, or the Ra, especially the Ra. If the Ra does a deep voice, he will be a more scarier dragon than the dragon we have now.
Well, we've
really, compare that to the Lich King or the Illidan or whatever else. It's like, nothing. You cannot have a villain without a bad voice.
I know who should do the voice. It should be that Coden guy from Honor of the Waves. When he sees his corrupted brothers, and he goes, "No, my brothers! They've been corrupted by the dragon." That would be perfect. Perfect for Mordremoth. Oh my god, my eyes would roll back in my head. It would be that good. Okay. Not for being so terrible, because that'd be a fucking stupid idea. But you know.
Okay.
I was expecting some slightly metallic, multiple voice, speaking on multiple voices, metallic, foresty, soundy thingy with a lot of bass in it, with a bit of whispers like minions, and something cracked somewhere and the skies split open and shit fell from it and people were screaming, ah! And vines were coming out of people's eyes.
Oh my god.
You know,
It's horrifying.
stuff, shit shit that actually does something. Not like, oh look, a walking plant, it is going to attack us. Oh no, what are we going to do?
Okay.
Yeah,
Shall we take some questions?
I think we should do questions now.
Okay. Spam us with questions while I go and get some delicious water.
Yeah. I do you want mine? I have some.
Oh yeah, can you just push that through the screen,
I'll
please?
pour it through my microphone.
Yeah. That'll be good.
That's
in
how it works.
12
Really
or
good.
15 years, you can actually do that with 3D printing. You
Yeah.
can email people some water.
Oh man, 3D printing is really cool. I like being able to make food with it too. Edible 3D printing.
I want to print organs.
Organs.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That could be useful.
Yeah, I want to live forever.
Someone's asking if I talked about Yu-Gi-Oh yet. I did. I showed off. Oh, that's the wrong one again.
He showed off
Jesus
his
Christ.
Exodia.
I have a lot of Exodias. I could actually show off my Exodias right now. So
He has an Exodia collection.
I do. I'll show off the set that I play with, which this is very fucking stupid, by the way. I play with a DDS Exodia head. This card is very valuable. This should be in a collection binder, but this is in my deck that I play. And then I play with first edition Legendary Collection Secret Rare Limbs. Again, that should be in a collection binder. That would be like playing with an Alpha Lotus. No, it's not that valuable, but you wouldn't play with an Alpha Lotus.
I was going to say, I could buy a car with an Alpha Lotus.
Yeah, Alpha Lotus is. And then in my
Almost.
binder, yeah. Did you ever have an Alpha Lotus Inks?
No, unlimited.
Okay,
I had an unlimited one, and then I had an unlimited one that was signed by the artist, but it was like all crinkled. It wasn't ripped, but it looked like somebody put it in a washing machine or something. It was fucked.
I have an original Japanese secret rare set from Phantom God with a little D in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's funny. And then I have one set from Legend of Blue Eyes, the first English set, my first edition Legendary Collection head. And then I have another LOB set, just because why not have two original Exodia sets? I have a lot of Exodias. I really love Exodia. So,
Yes, you do. Yeah, at one point I had all the Power 9. Always
Yeah.
unlimited, never beta or alpha because those were ridiculously expensive. I won a beta Mox Ruby once, and I sold it for a crazy amount of money back then. And I eventually sold them, and what did I do with the money? I don't even fucking remember.
Bought a
Something
computer,
stupid, I'm sure.
And you still have it now?
Yeah, it's the same computer from back then. It's probably not too far away. Yes, the Alpha Lotus Grade 10 that sold for $25,000. Well, some people have way more money than brains.
Yeah, that's true. Do we have any other real questions now?
Yeah, there
Wait,
were.
what one
some.
did you guys just answer? Well, which one?
Someone asked me about Exodia.
Okay, right. Let's open this up with the inevitable question. Nemesis, when is part 2 coming out?
I will try to do it for next week.
Boom.
It depends on other people as well. Yeah, him and someone else. And yeah, it all depends because I have to write the script. I have to cut all the pieces and then do the recording. And
I'll be back.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Goodbye.
So, as soon as possible.
Brazil is gone, never to return.
Next question.
Nemesis, are you going to pug raids?
I actually thought about that, and I think it's time. The plan is like this. I'm going to do some 2 or 3 more, 1 or 2 more videos. Then it's going to be part 2. Then 1 or 2 more videos, and then I will start pushing out guides. Because if I push guides out now, and in 2 or 3 weeks I find out what the runes are, and it's totally going to change my build, then I just worked for 2 or 3 weeks for nothing. So I'm going to go as close to launch as possible, but it's definitely going to be ahead of launch. And at launch, I plan on seeing if some of my old friends are coming back to the game, and I want to make my own 10-man raid for professional play, and I want to stream that. And after I get some good results, I'll definitely pug.
Okay.
Okay.
Will Revenant become part of the PvE meta?
I think it certainly has the potential to, because Elementalist stacks a lot of Fury with persisting flames, and Fury is like a 20% DPS increase. It's a wonderful buff to have. It's so good. Maybe not 20%. I don't know. It's a great boon to have, and you can keep that up permanently on a Revenant. So I mean, and you give might too. You have a trait on Revenant. Every time you give a boon to your party, you also give them might. It has a 1-second cooldown on it. So you just toggle on your swiftness, might, and fury passively, and then you also give might on top of that. So you can maintain 8 to 10 stacks with that. If you toggle on the facet of nature, you maintain more. But, or not, whatever the F2 facet is. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe that one's nature, maybe not. I think it's nature.
Yeah.
Nature.
Yeah, you toggle that on for 50% outgoing boon duration, and I think that applies to you. I don't ever use it because the passive degeneration actually makes me lose energy. But yeah, so how I start off a fight, I basically just go in with your 3 passive Fagnet. Wow, that was almost a really big misstep. 3 passive facets. Sorry, that's tongue-tying. And you do that, and then when the boss is almost at 50% health, when it's at like 55 to 60% health, switch over to Shiro. Let your energy go back and reset to 50, build up energy for a little bit, and then just go impossible odds and just fucking nuke the shit out of it. Because you have that, like, whatever the thing is called. Like, it's not decimate defenses, it's decimate something. It's very similar to what the Reaper trait is called, but it's the 20% damage bonus when the boss is under 50% health. That combined with impossible odds is so much damage. It's awesome. You can do what Nemesis said in his video, save time warp for the end of the fight instead of the beginning. So but it's just quickness for you. It's awesome. It's so cool.
And the worst part is, right before the Mesmer time warped early, we had a small 30-second meeting, and I said, in all my pug fights, me and Batresh, we inform guys, no Mossman in the water, don't time warp early, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, Mesmer, you got it, don't time warp early. Yeah, I got it. We start 1 second in time warp. Motherfucker, what did I just say? Like, I think he actually did it on purpose. I actually think he wanted to troll me.
Well, maybe he thought you were talking about time warping early, as in you put it down before you even start using abilities.
No, I told him, don't time warp early. Do it when the boss has about 40 to 50% HP. I even had that on copy-paste. So I copy-pasted because we change bugs a lot. Because like, Necromancer, goodbye. So I don't have to write it. I copy-paste, copy-paste, copy-paste.
Okay. Does anyone here think Blighter's Boon will be nerfed? And why? I don't...
Blighter's Boon, God, what is that? It's a Reaper trait.
It's the one where you get a boon and then you heal for a roughly 130 health.
Yeah. So it's basically works whenever you apply the might.
Yep.
So you constantly apply might to yourself and you heal a little bit. I haven't used it because I use Reaper's Onslaught instead, and very rarely the chill trait. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad trait. I don't think it's a bad trait at all.
No. I
think that helps you immensely with like sustain, like in terms of not dying. And you also have a ton of might generation. But I tend to gravitate towards damage increases instead of like health sustain increases. Sustain damage over sustain health. That's my personal preference. So, but I mean, I think it's, yeah, if you want to use it, go for it.
What if, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too strong.
I don't know.
Would you be more tempted to use it if it was, say, half as effective, but you steal life whenever you apply a boon to yourself? And so it's not as good, because if it steals life, then it's way too good.
Yeah.
But if it just steals some life whenever you apply.
No,
boon.
if it stole health, I would probably drop Soul Reaping. No, I guess you wouldn't because you have to have vital persistence.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. It would make a case for that. I guess the only thing you could drop then would be Spite, but then you don't get Might on your auto attack above 50% health because that Spite has that trait. I see the trap of playing Power Reaper only with Spite and Soul Reaping, but at the same time, you don't only have to play Shroud. You can play Dagger, Warhorn, and Greatsword, or just camp Greatsword, and then that gives you the freedom to drop Soul Reaping for something else. I think this comes in terms of, again, opportunity cost and making sacrifices, because Reaper offers something new and different, and I don't know. I don't think every Reaper build should be focused around Reaper Shroud. I think that some Reaper builds should be focused around Reaper Shroud, some should be focused around Greatsword camping, some should be focused around Dagger, some should be on condition damage.
Condition builds are not focused around Reaper Shroud.
No.
So I think that evens it out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've been playing around with Reaper Shroud and Doomfire for sustained damage, maintaining like 8 stacks of burning. Like you can burst on bleeds and chill and poison at the start of the fight. And you use your chill blains on Reaper or on staff, the staff number 3, and then you can go in and spin with the poison, and then you can start applying burning with Doomfire on top of that. And you have a pretty good condition burst, and then your sustained damage comes from burning and critical hits. So it's a fun. It uses Soul Reaping, Spite, and Reaper. It doesn't use curses, but it's a fun build. I think it's more of a hybrid build than a condition damage build. I would say that because you still want crits to go along with your burn sustain. So something like Rampagers or Sinister, I think is better. But yeah, for like a purely condition-based Reaper build, I think you would probably take Curses instead of Soul Reaping.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Inks does.
Go Inks.
No, I mean it's Brazil and Nemesis both play Necromancer way better and know way more about Necro than I do. I like Necro. I've been playing Necro in World vs. World for a very long time, but that was really the only place I ever played Necro. Playing Wells Necro in the Surg Ball or whatever was just too much fun. So that's all I ever really used Necro. I'm looking forward to using Reaper a lot because it's just, I mean, people just come up and say to me, Reaper is just amazing. It's the most fun I've had in the beta was playing Reaper. So it's definitely in my top 3 of the best elite specializations in my mind.
Yeah, Revenant and Reaper appeal to me probably about the same. Like in terms of like 1 to 10, they're both a 10 out of 10, but they're in different areas. Revenant is in the area of like why I really enjoy games like Fallout Shelter. I really love managing things and then just flipping that shit and like executing people. Like that is so much fun to do on Revenant. You're supporting, you're giving boons, you have sustain. And then when the boss hits 50% health, just fuck it up. Just so fast. Execute it. And it's so much fun to do that. In Reaper, you do the same thing. You sustain and you sustain and you sustain and you sustain. And then when the boss gets to 50% health, Gravedigger, just execute it. And Reaper, though, Reaper appeals to like hack and slash like Dervish. This was a conversation that I had on YouTube a little bit. I really love Dervish in the little time I played Guild Wars 1. Just chopping things up with a scythe. Reaper has that. I love it. Revenant and Reaper appeal to similar things and different things in some situations. I love both of them. They're both like a solid 10 out of 10. I don't really think I want to play anything else. Daredevil is like a 7 for me right now. It's pretty fun. It could be better. It might go up to like an 8, but Revenant and Reaper are probably what I'm only going to play going forward.
Questions. More questions. Let's see.
There was a bunch.
Yeah, there's loads, but I'm picking a good one. Yeah. No, this is a good one to explain. What's the difference? Without time warp below 50, the fight lasts longer. You get more. Wait, what? Wait, this question is
I understand
grammar.
the question.
Yeah.
I can.
It's being.
Okay.
If you read it though, I think he kind of answers his own question though.
So, what this is trying to address, at least I'm pretty sure, is that in PvE situations in a fully optimized group, you time warp at the beginning of the fight and you kill the boss in the whole duration of the time warp. So it doesn't matter when you use it. You want to use it at the start of the fight and kill something in like 10 seconds. In PvE in groups that aren't as organized, when you have something like a Revenant or a Thief or an Elementalist or a Necromancer in the party, and you have a damage modifier that deals 20% more damage to foes that are under 50% health, it makes more sense to burst backwards. Use Time Warp when the boss is at like 50 to 60% health, so you stack the damage up at the back of the fight instead of at the beginning of the fight. Because if you're playing in a party composition where everything is front-loaded, like a warrior's damage is front-loaded, there aren't any damage modifiers that are really, if the boss is lower than this health, it does this. Classes where the damage is front-loaded, use Time Warp at the start of the fight. If you're playing with classes where it's more back-loaded, use Time Warp at the middle of the fight. It makes more sense to do that.
Yeah, it's like, let's say you normally do 10 life blasts, and with Time Warp you do 15 life blasts. Yeah. Versus you normally do 10 life leech form hits, and with Time Warp you do 15 leech form hits. And the leech form hits, that extra 5 hits, translate into more DPS if they were leech form hits, not life blast hits.
Yeah.
And if you Time Warp really early, sometimes people are not ready to burst, because you need to do like add some vulnerability, put some might, put some banners. You don't just go, oh, fight, Time Warp.
Yeah, Time Warp to speed up the banners.
You got to reduce the buffing time and stuff.
If you can kill something in the entire span of Time Warp, just use it at the start of the fight. If you can't, give it some consideration as to when to use it. You don't just use it mindlessly. Put some thinking behind it and figure out when the best time to use it is.
And again, pugs do this because they saw Snowcrow kill the boss in 15 seconds with 3 ice bows. And they went, oh, he uses Time Warp at the beginning, I will copy, without understanding why. Yeah. It's not the same effect without 3 ice bows.
Yeah, and another aspect of Time Warp that is like, this wasn't a thing before, is slow. If you can slow down the boss's animations at the end of the fight whenever you have stacked up damage modifiers, you don't have to dodge as much, so you can get in even more damage at the end of the fight too if you have those backloaded modifiers. And if you have damage that is front-loaded, it doesn't matter when you use it because it's going to be relatively similar. So you can use that, like if you have a warrior in your group, it doesn't matter when you Time Warp a warrior. If you use that at the first part of the fight or the last part of the fight, it doesn't matter. So it's wise to think things through opposed to just doing them, which is what I just said. But I feel like I can't say things enough sometimes, but people still take it out of context.
I have a reply for Nike. You should Time Warp when you have the most vulnerability stacked up to compact your damage. Weren't you the one who said that you always have perma vulnerability, my friend? Why you talk like that? What do you mean when you have the most vulnerability stacked up? According to you, you always have vulnerability stacked up.
Well, maybe he's talking about people who aren't as, active on their vulnerability. Maybe some people only have vulnerability sometimes. But, what do you guys think about Berserker, as in the elite specialization? Because I played it and I thought it was going to be amazing, and it really wasn't. Oh,
and why wasn't it?
I don't know. It just
didn't-
I tried to do a stupid. It's probably because I tried to do a terrible build with mass interrupts and stuff, and it was just bad.
I tried to use the rifle piercing, and it was fun. It was fun, but not really that useful. So I switched over to Greatsword Sword Torch, and it was a lot more useful in that iteration. I will, like I said earlier in the pod, is that going Berserk feels a little bit underwhelming, and it doesn't have the same kind of feeling when you go Berserk. I think the cooldowns on some of the skills are a bit too long as well, but it's okay. It's not my cup of tea, but
Yeah. Have you played any Berserker Brazil?
I didn't want to. It looked stupid to me. Like I've played Warrior for 2,700 hours. 2,700 hours. I played a Warrior, and Berserker looked stupid and gimmicky, so I didn't fucking play it.
Not enough fire
I
either.
probably won't play it either.
Yeah.
This is coming from someone who has set himself on fire multiple times in real life.
But the thing is though, when you set fire to yourself in real life, you probably applied more burning stacks and for longer duration to the air around you than you do in the game.
I burned all of the hair off of the left side of my body because I was trying to light a grill. I emptied a whole bottle of lighter fluid into it, and it didn't fucking light. So I stuck my hand into the grill as soon as the wind picked up, and I was on fire.
things to not do ever.
Yeah.
Don't do that. More questions.
I have never lit myself on fire.
I covered myself in Axe body spray in middle school and lit a match on it and set myself on fire.
That is not
I mean, I was in the locker room shower, so all I had to do was fucking jump in the water. But, like, Berserker just reminds me of stupid things I've done more than anything. And it doesn't look fun to make up for that, so whatever. I don't know. And headbutt confusing yourself, that's just dumb.
Oh, that's flavor. Come on. No.
You could call it flavor. I think it's funny.
I like headbutt. I think it's a good. I want to see more short cooldown elites.
No. I'm not saying I don't like headbutt. I'm saying that with distracting strikes, you give yourself confusion when you hit headbutt because it stuns you, and every time you stun, you give confusion. I think it's called distracting strikes. I may be confusing that with Mesmer or something. But yeah.
Host Nemesis versus Nike. Nike can say it again, but he has explicitly said he's not interested in that happening.
Yeah.
Maybe after part 2. Who knows?
It's gonna be a good video. It'll have a lot of entertainment value.
Zoltra, your question was not a question, Zoltra. You were just saying agree that someone would be a better making an active soundtrack, and then you linked a YouTube video. I don't know.
Sure, I agree with you.
Wait, what? Who do you agree with? Oh,
I don't know. Next question.
Wait. Oh my God. No, I'm not reading
Heroic
that
champion Excalibur. That's
not
the
doing
correct.
the chat is going way too fast. Well, we kind of addressed this before, but what do you think will happen to raiding compositions if boons buffs stay at five person?
I mean, they're not gonna. Yeah, somebody was saying earlier, like, are they gonna be like a mirror of each other? Is it just gonna be meta times 2? It wouldn't be meta times 2, but there would certainly be mirrors within that raid composition.
Meta times 0.5.
Yeah, there you go.
Or 1.5, rather.
Yeah.
Do you think support builds will ever make it into the meta?
I think people are using them in fractals right now.
You mean like Cleric's Guardian?
Exactly. But
you saw with my friend Batrish.
Mm-hmm.
He was clerics. I went in. We didn't even corner stack it.
I think there is, for the record, I don't have a problem with Cleric's Guardian. I don't really care that people use it, and I think if they enjoy it, then they should do it. So that's my stance on it. I think the reason I keep pointing this out is because I think there's a certain demographic of people that it's silly for them to use clerics guardians, but that's as far as I'm going to get into it, and that's all I'm going to say. And that's why I keep doing it, because I'm taking pokes in, I don't know, in good humor, although I know they won't be perceived that way. That's why I'm giving this explanation. But anyways, in Heart of Thorns, ArenaNet have outright said that support is going to be a thing. Support, control, and damage, they're going to be a thing. So
in raids.
And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that pseudo-trinity of sorts. I think that's good. And if they all have their place within the encounters, I think that's something to really look forward to. It's not a real, not the traditional trinity as we found, but it's something like this inevitably happens. Certain roles are filled within games. It's kind of inevitable. And there are these vague categories that have been created.
Batrish is getting angry again because we met too many cleric warriors, not celestial warriors. We met celestial warriors and you carried them. And he's getting angry. He has a shorter temper than me.
Yeah, I figured he might. He seems like a nice guy, though.
Yeah, he's really nice.
Do you?
There was a question about.
Is it the one about the Herald?
Yeah, the Herald.
Yeah. Do you think a Herald could replace Phalanx Warrior with strength runes and food? This guy claims he was able to sustain the might. So if you had two.
Oh, with food.
Yeah, with food and stuff.
Ooh, you see, I didn't have access to that. I had strength runes on my Ascended Armor that I was playing my Revenant with, and I was maintaining with just the 3 facets, not facet of nature, just the 3 facets. I would maintain 10, it would tick down to 9, then to 8, and then go back to 10. So it was a constant 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8. And if you play boon duration food with that, like the golden dumplings, those give you 20% boon duration, and you also get like a 33% chance to get might on hit for you, which that's not going to do anything giving it to your party. I don't know. I think, like, if you take what are the sharpening stones called? There are sharpening stones that give like 40% boon duration. I don't remember what they're called. Bountiful, maybe. They're very expensive. They're like a gold a piece to make. If you played those with Herald, you could probably maintain 12 to 15 with food as well. Like 12, maybe 12 to 15 might stacks. But even still, Warrior just does a better job at it. But Warrior doesn't give everyone Fury. If you play 2 Revenants with a little bit of boon duration, then yeah, no problem. You should be able to have that. Or if you just toggle on, I think Facet of Nature applies to your boon duration too. I really didn't use it enough to test. But if you have like 2 of them, just toggle on like 2 of your facets, the number 1 and number 3 facet. 2 Revenants with Facet of Nature on as well. That should be 25 might and more Fury than you know what to do with. So I'm also glad that it's not a Phalanx Warrior replacement. I'm glad that it is similar enough that it does something very useful. It gives good boons that are offensive boon support. But it also does something different. It gives Fury to everyone. Warrior has something like a banner of discipline to increase precision otherwise. It doesn't give out much Fury. And Elementalist with Persisting Flames. It gives Might and Fury, but you have to constantly reapply it. It's not a constant buff. So, yeah.
I sorry, I have to step in, Nikes.
Oh.
I didn't use a record run because the record one was exactly 14.7 seconds, and the Warrior actually did almost nothing in that time. So I would have been calculating his DPS for about 4 seconds, and 4 seconds of Warrior DPS is totally irrelevant, and you should know that if you have any little bit of skill. So you either know that and you're trolling me, or you don't know that, in which case, Holy Mother of God. Yeah.
Yes.
The records run was 14.7 seconds because they had 3 ice bow. What am I going to calculate? Ice bow versus necro? I already did that. Goodbye.
Slam the door.
Yeah. Let's do one more question.
Okay.
And then we'll introduce ourselves and then host someone.
Okay.
Is there a question? No one's using the bot question thingy, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I have to look through the chat for them, and the chat was going crazy.
Is Wooden Potatoes in the stream?
He is. He's come
Yeah.
to
Oh,
save
no.
me.
Wooden Potatoes, I love you.
Why not compare Warrior Solo to Necro Solo then? Because
Don't
solo
do that.
situations have absolutely no real value to a party composition. And if I would have, you would have said, oh, but they don't have any real value in a party situation. So no matter what I do, you always have something to say, except for maybe accept my challenge and post some actual facts. How about that? How about not hide? Do not hide behind Miku and others. Post some facts yourself. How about that? Do it without ice bow, my friend. Brazil sucks, right?
I'm pretty bad at
Do
the
it.
game.
Do it without ice bow. Get better time than Brazil, and I will bow before you.
Yeah, Wooden Potatoes left the oven on. He was baking himself.
Baking himself.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
not baked right now.
I miserably failed to find any more questions. Does anyone see one? Or should we?
There was a question about DirectX 9 or 10 for Guild Wars 2, which one it
Ooh.
uses.
9.
9.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it
Sad
run?
boys.
Yeah, that is sad, boys.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's still 9.
Yeah, that is the reason why it's.
What are we up to now?
literally,
12.
12.
Yeah, 12. Yeah. The performance will be so much better.
Basically, Guild Wars 2 DirectX 9 is like working in an office using Windows Server 2003, or actually worse than that.
For the record, I don't know if any of you guys know this. I recorded that specific Bloomhunger fight because I feel that that's probably on the average side of playing Warriors, and I did that at Nemesis' request, and I gave it to him to use in the video. I didn't do anything like trying to play perfectly. I mean, if you want to see me play better than that, you can watch like our 61-second Mossman trio, and I play much more active and much better in that situation. But like, Nemesis wasn't calling me bad in that video. If there's anyone that calls me bad, it's people that don't like me, number one, and it's myself, number two, because I don't consider myself terribly skilled whenever I look at other people who actually are skilled. I just consider myself to be a personality that is moderately good at the game. I think that's the fair approach. But at the same time, like, whatever.
Yeah, you're being modest because we both know that the majority of the community can never match what you do and what I do.
Maybe so. I mean,
But it's not that they cannot match it. That's perfectly fine. But when you cannot match that and you go, oh, these guys suck, then that's a problem.
I don't like I don't have a problem with people that don't want to be good at the game or do and just aren't. There are times when I get frustrated because there are things like I don't know, there's a point, but like there are new players that come into a dungeon when I'm pugging and they have no idea what to do, and I don't mind helping them out. I don't mind like giving them instructions on how to get better because I want people to be as good as they want to be or as good as their potential is. And like, I mean, that's my whole goal for everything I do. I think it's just that simple, but I don't know. There's a problem though, that there are people who think they are much better than they are, and they're really not as good as they think they are, and they think everyone else is so much worse than them. And so they start kicking people out of a party because they have retarded stigmas that just are baseless, and it's an ego competition. It's not Guild Wars 2. those are kind of my thoughts a little bit.
I think we had one last real question.
Oh yeah, from RPG Shack, I believe.
Oh.
And
It was, you guys concerned about elite specializations kind of being really very, very good and kind of dominating the builds?
No.
No.
Even in a situation where Reaper seems like it does so much more damage than Necromancer, and it's so much better than Necromancer, people are forgetting that you are giving up ranged attacks. Ranged attacks are, for the most part, safer. So if you want to be a pro boys, whatever, and you want to just go in and fight stuff on a Reaper, but you can't, then you're probably going to fall on your face. You're giving up something that's different. Necromancer with just Death Shroud has very good sustained range damage. And you give up basically every range damage option except like an axe or a staff on Reaper, which you can take those. But, I mean, if your whole plan is to play Reaper and put down wells and auto attack with staff through them for combos to do range damage, you probably should consider using Life Blast. But yeah, I think that they're different, this elite specializations. I think that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to give you a different way to play the class, and there is some level of opportunity cost involved, because you have to say, if I want to do something differently, I'm going to have to change my build, and I only have 3 specializations that I can do that with. So I don't think any of them are so broken to the point. The only one I would really consider is overshadowing the real, like the base class, is Revenant with Herald. But I think that's just because there aren't really many situations where you would want to go Invocations Chalice, or Invocations Retribution, and then like Moderation, or whatever the hell the Ventari line is called. There aren't many situations where you would want to go like Malix, Shiro, and Invocations just for general buffing. There aren't really situations where you would want to go Herald, Malix, and Shiro, but that's not to say that those won't come in Heart of Thorns, and that Revenant will have more variety, because Revenant is new, Heart of Thorns is going to be new, and there's just going to be different stuff in it that none of us are used to, or even expecting for that matter. So I would say give it a little time. Don't just constrain it to current Guild Wars 2.
And I mean, Tempest isn't a direct upgrade in all situations. Neither is Dragon Hunter.
Yeah.
Let's see. What other ones have we got? What? Wait. Oh, do you disagree with that?
Dragon Hunter?
Yeah? I don't think it's a straight upgrade at all.
I don't think it's an upgrade anywhere, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does add something. It does add something.
Range condition damage.
Exactly.
We'll see.
Which might be a thing.
I'm just barebow hating Dragon Hunter. That's all.
I know.
And with Daredevil, you do have to sacrifice quite a lot to invest in it, in my opinion, at least.
Inks is just ready for all of those Dragon Hunters with longbows and mini brown bear pets.
Brilliant. That's exactly what I'm going to run. That's what I'm going to change my Guardian into. Right
Barebow Hunter.
Barebow Hunter. Barebow Dragon Hunter.
All right.
Yeah.
Seeing as we have... wait.
Should we host Aurora Peachy? Is she streaming?
Nike has... What's up, haters? Okay, we'll host that guy.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. But let's see. Does anyone have any closing statements?
Oh, QT. Okay.
Anyone have any? Player. Yeah.
Closing stuff
on just that on that question.
I have one. Be excellent to everyone. Be excellent to everyone. That's it. That's from Bill and Ted.
Yeah. Yes. It is. Yes.
Or Wayne's World.
Way too slow there.
Yeah.
I am confirmed sexist, apparently. Yes. Okay.
Because you're not hosting Aurora Peachy.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. That is a good point. Let's see. Inks, tell us about where we can subscribe and follow to you.
Oh, right. YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, it's always MMO Inks. You can find me on all those channels. I'm going to attempt to start streaming Tuesday through Saturday. We'll see how that goes and go from there. But that's the attempt I'm going to make.
Okay. Nemesis, how are you?
Yeah, the same. Facebook, YouTube, and I will probably start streaming for Heart of Tones. It's I am one and I am Legion. And on YouTube you can just search Nemesis, Necromancer, or anything of the sorts, and you will find me.
Thank you very much. Brazil!
So the easiest way to find me on YouTube is just to search Brazil GW2. You'll find something I've made, I promise. And just click on it, give it a watch, and then find my channel if you decide you like it. Or just go straight to my channel if you want to see more of me. You can find me on Twitter at BrazilGW2. There are no spaces in any of that. Or if you just want to find general stuff about me, you can Google BrazilGW2 and you'll find me.
Excellent. Finally, is me. You're already on this channel, so follow it if you want to catch up on the latest stupid drama that's happening in the Guild Wars community, and also dank memes. We like to have dank memes here, and also you can watch Inks disapprove of our obsession with dank memes, and that's the perfect combination. Yes,
Speaks the truth.
More stuff like this happens. I also stream Guild Wars 2 sometimes. Do troll teams and something else coming up this week. But, you know, that's kind of irrelevant to this, so I won't bother saying anything about that. But yes, lots of things happening on Twitch on this channel, so please do follow. I also have a YouTube where I make stupid videos that contain dank memes. So if you like dank memes, my YouTube channel could be for you. And also, lots of announcements and stuff on my Birdman, so do follow me on Twitter. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. To be honest, it is Twitter. I don't really understand Twitter. You'd be much better off following Inks. He has a very good understanding of Twitter.
Probably too good. I tweet too much.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nemesis, you should make a Twitter. Loads of people would follow you.
Yeah. Can you make money off of Twitter?
No.
You can if you post gold-selling bots for Twitch.
You can get the hate mail instantly delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitter's great for.
Yes.
And so you block them.
I would just troll a lot. I'm new to trolling on the internet and stuff. Like, I'm really new to trolling, but it's so effective. Brazil, we should move to Amsterdam, smoke some weed, and play Minecraft while stoned.
I have a strong aversion to drugs. I don't like them, but that's because of a few things. That's because I was in a relationship with a girl who really liked abusing drugs, and I saw what they did to her, and I also have bipolar disorder, and mania is the best experience I've ever had in my life, so I don't think any drug could possibly top that. But those are two completely unrelated things to Guild Wars 2, and yeah.
You should still make Minecraft videos because that's how you become rich and famous.
And just ask World of Enders. Or Boots.
Otherwise, you might just end up working 3 years for something, and you know, little stuff that will be in part 2.
Okay, yes, look forward to Nemesis's part 2 video coming soon. Yes, that is all for now, guys. Thank you very much for watching and talking in chat, stirring up drama. That's what we like to see. Yeah, we'll see you all next time, and on our respective channels, and on the internet in general. Goodbye, everyone.